the original multi-club fan channel. Make sure you're following us now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. The link is in the description below. Top 6 show. It's a Friday night. There's no better place to be. And look at this beautiful panel I've got here. Got Man Lucky Gal, Jerry James in the house, Flawless back with us again. Man like Mo's here. Have Hope ready to fill our ears with delightful delusion. And of course, the brand. His new nickname is the brand. We're calling him the brand of Tottenham. It's Man like Chatty Patty. How are we all doing? We all good, everyone?
Big up, man.
Yeah, man. Gucci.
Chelsea fans sound so depressed nowadays. Like, so depressed. It's unbelievable.
Well, Terry, if you have one of the worst managers in Premier League history in the dugout giving press conferences, how are you supposed to be happy? So,
well, maybe I'm surprised Todd Bowley's not giving the press conferences yet, to be fair. I'm surprised he hasn't stepped in to do it. We will be touching on Chelsea later. We'll be touching on Arsenal. Big news on TalkSport this afternoon that Rice to Arsenal was agreed. We're looking at United ahead of their game against Wolves. Rashford out, but Varane back. And advanced talks in the transfer market reportedly with Kim Min-Jae have taken place. And we'll be touching on the title race with Arsenal, as we say. The footballer of the year has been announced. With loads of debates on today's show. We're very, very excited about it. So stay with us. Hit the like and the share button. But the first big talking point of the day I wanted to start with, gentlemen, is transfer news. I wanted to do it because it's literally breaking. It's been in my DMs all day. Kim Min-Jae to Man United is reportedly advanced. And backstage, Patrick, your response was, "Oh no, why?"
Oh, I love him, man. Good player. And I remember Sonny recommended him to Spurs about 2 years ago, and we bypassed it. And then he went to Napoli. Everyone's seen how good he is. He's a beast. And yeah, if he goes to Man United, you lot are going to have some good defenders. Varane, Martinez, and then Kim Min. That's some free quality options to swap around, and yeah, just strengthen you guys. The guy's a quality player. Surprised when he went to Napoli there wasn't more people in for him, but obviously he's proved it and shown his worth this season. Napoli have gone on to win the league. The guy's been quality in the Champions League as well. And yeah, I'm disappointed that we didn't move for him when we could have and got him for a snip for around about 10, 13 million. Now he's probably going to go for what, 50, 60, 40 million at a minimum.
Wait, actually, no, Patrick, sorry. That is crazy because you had the chance to get Kim and you passed up to give Eric Dyer new life.
Exactly.
Because how is Eric Jeremiah Dyer still starting games in the year of our Lord 2023? Right. And you could have had Kim Min-Jae in there. That is insane. Insane.
It's insanity. It's incompetence. That's what it is. It's a board that doesn't know what they're doing. It's no talent ID. Well, we don't have a DOF. Clearly, Daniel Levy doesn't know what he's doing. The guys below him, in between him, these guys don't know what they're doing. And yeah, we're just missing out on gems. And of course, it's a gamble, 10 to 13 million. The thing is, if we're being real, when you get a snip or a player for that much money from the big clubs, some of us will turn our noses up at him. Oh, who's that? Why are we going for peanuts? Why don't we buy ready-made players? But not every player can become a ready-made player. So now a club like Napoli has taken a gamble on him. And now obviously he is a named player. So I think for us fans as well, sometimes we've got to understand there will be big players, but there will also be guys that are relatively unknowns that can come in with a high ceiling, like a Kim Min. And you've got to trust your
Kim Min-Jae is the best guy to go to Man United because he suits Erik ten Hag. He plays from the back. This is one of the reasons why Napoli this year are so dominant. He plays from the back, can pass the ball, can actually push forward, drive with the ball. He's better than Varane and probably better than Martinez. He's the best center back that Erik ten Hag can get. For that price, you won't get someone better in the world. The reason why Tottenham didn't get him is that the Premier League clubs, especially the big clubs, they don't go and recruit from the Turkish league and stuff. They go for the superstar from the Spanish league. They go for the superstar in the French league. They don't do their due diligence in these lower leagues. I'm calling them lower league, the Turkish league. They don't go to the Polish league to get a player like what the Spanish league does. Like Lobotka, for example, what a great player in the midfield. Premier League club don't do that. And until a player goes to a team like Napoli and win the league, now he's in the picture. But Kim Min-Jae, what a player to join Man United. What a player.
I just want to say, in terms of the deal that's being discussed today, United have held advanced talks with him where they've made a financial proposal to the player Andy's representation, and the player is keen on the move. United want it done quickly. The reason they want it done quickly is up until the 15th of the first 15 days of July. So that's a really weird way of them writing it. But the 15th of July, there's a release clause of just £43.5 million. And I think in 2023, when you look at a player that's just won Serie A, the hype that's around him, the experience and age he's got, and his technical ability, 43 million is an absolute snip. An absolute snip. When you consider outside of that clause, you're probably looking for a Premier League club, 65, 70, maybe even as high as 80 million pounds for him. So for me, I've watched him play maybe 10, 15 times. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on him, but he does look good. And I think what you said, Mo, about him playing out from the back is massive for United. And I wanted to ask Flawless, you see the way there's a lot of talk of, has Erik ten Hag developed his style of playing, his brand of football to where we want it to be? Do you look at these types of signings as an indication that we know we're not there yet, but there is going to be much more football, much more playing out from the back as things progress under Ten Hag?
Yeah, 100%. It's showing that and you'll know this as well, Terry, and I've heard you speak on this in terms of that's where we need improvement. We need improvement all over the pitch, but in particular at centre-back as well, because we've only got Martinez and Varane currently. Even though Varane's been fit and available for the majority of the season, having a Kim Min-Jae can't hurt. Taza, who I have on my channel on a regular, was talking about Kim Min-Jae from the start of the season. He was telling me, and he's like, look out for Kim Min-Jae in the World Cup. And I look at him in terms of his profile, and he looks like a good player. And the price we're talking as well is a steal. I'm saying he's experienced. He's just won Serie A. He's played in the latter stages of the Champions League as well. And if we do sign him, what a start to the window it would be. Smart business again, going to get a player of that caliber for that price. And you get on.
Do United sign him if you don't after that deadline? So let's say you don't get the deal done by the 15th of June or July. Do United still go and sign him? Because Napoli are probably the hardest team to do business with in Europe.
Yeah.
Even if there's a release clause, I don't think they'll sell him for that amount. Like right now, I remember Have Hope was speaking about it like a couple of weeks ago on the show, where you said that, look, Osimhen, Kim Min-Jae, Kvaratskhelia, all these players, they're going to have statues built for them, like because of what they've done. So are they going to let go one of their prized assets after just winning the league? Are they not going to try and say, you know what, try to keep this team moved and try and get Champions League?
The release clause is there. So as long as we bid the release, and what the reports earlier on this week said is that United are even prepared, because release clauses are all different. Sometimes it's if you hit that amount, they have to say yes. Sometimes it's a case of you just need to inform the player or negotiations start. There might be another club that's got an option, but United are reportedly going to offer about 5 million more as almost like to try and stop this from escalating beyond a certain point and to try and get this over the line. I'm not too sure the reason as to why, but it's what the article kind of, I don't know, get the rationale behind it. The article suggested Man United would, but I do agree with you. If we do a Fellaini, by the way, I think he's better than Fellaini, and allow it to go past the clause and then end up paying more for him later, that would be typical Man United of the last decade. And we need to get done.
But let me ask this. So if you bid that release clause, that means automatically there's nothing that De Laurentiis can do to block you now discussing personal terms.
If he wants to go, he can go. If he wants to go, he can go. Yeah,
as far as I know, that's how release clause.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, like if you bid, then
that's how release clauses are. If a player has X amount and a club bids at X amount, then the club can't reject it.
The club can't reject it.
That's how minimum fee release clauses work. And Terry just mentioned it there in regards to United better. I don't want to see United do that. Wait till the release clause expires and then you're paying double or maybe even more than double for this player. I can't believe we're on this. I'm legit surprised that Manchester United are even. I think he's a good player. I'm just surprised we're looking at good players and going, all right, get this done early. I think this is.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is a no-brainer for you guys. Absolute no-brainer. And I'm surprised that there isn't a bidding war going around, because there should be, when you have a player with such a cheap price going around, let's be honest, 45 million for a center back nowadays of his quality is an absolute steal, as you said. And there might be other people sniffing around. I think Napoli, they're going to be incentivized to try to hold on to him as long as possible to see if other people come around to try to bid for him also. Because at that point, they win, right? They want a bidding war.
No, of course they do. They want it to go past that point. But Man United have spoke to him. So maybe the bid's already gone in. But remember, when a bid goes in, no money transfers. Maybe Man United have already offered the release clause. That's why they're allowed to talk directly to him. According to Santi, who's a very reliable journalist, the talks are taking place and it's direct. It isn't through an intermediary. So I got a feeling we put the bid in. Napoli can't say no. Once the official bid's in, you're allowed to go and talk to the player. It's just whether or not. I think what may slow this down is Champions League qualification. If we miss out on the Champions League, I don't see him. I see him maybe agreeing, but then it might go past the deadline. Maybe he's going to wait to see who else comes in for him. That's why Champions League football, I think a player like this, Champions League football is key. And for me, the reason why I'm excited is because he kind of, Varane's great and he's back now. He should be playing tomorrow, but that man can't play 2 games a week. And next year, Man United have got to try and challenge for the Prem, and we've got to try and challenge for the Champions League. Rafael Varane, ability-wise, he's the man. But fitness-wise, I worry. You throw Min-Jae into the mix, then suddenly you've got 3 top-class, in my opinion, centre-backs at your club. And that's where Man United need to get back to, because that's what we always...
Wait, hold on. Wait, sorry, don't you mean 4? What about the fridge, Maguire? He's not included in this?
No, I thought you were going to mention Luke
I thought you were going to mention Lindelof.
Well, no, Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw.
That's the point.
Terry, don't do that. Terry, don't do that to your captain, man. Don't do that to the captain.
That's the point. Hey, you can, if you want him, you can have him have hope. That's the point I was going to make as well. It's that the links with Min-Jae and him potentially coming to Manchester United does spell the end for Harry Maguire and pushes Lindelof further down the pecking list as well, which I do like that. He goes there trying to improve.
I mean, to most points.
Do you see him leaving, going to the Premier League, a Premier League club, or he's doing a Chris Smalling and leaving the country?
Who, Maguire?
He has to leave the country.
I can see, you know what? For all the PR he gets and playing for England and all that nonsense, that doesn't really mean too much. I can see an English club and a Premier League club coming to sign Harry Maguire.
Yeah, I can see. He could go to like an Aston Villa or something like that.
Yes.
No, but here's no. Paddy, don't do that though.
They won't take it.
Maguire's pride is too. See, it's actually such a great discussion because my thing for Maguire. No, held on. See, Flawless actually makes a very good point because Maguire has lived off of PR. And you can see that also. Doesn't he still have like a case to face in Greece or something? But put that to one side. 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 To one side. Put that to one side. Shout out to all my Greeks out there, man. Shout out to Socrates, man.
You beat the case, brother.
Allegedly. Shout out to Johnny Cochran. So, with Maguire, I think the issue with Maguire is, because Flawless makes a very good point, he's lived off of PR. Club captain, one of England's mainstays. So will pride stop him from taking a step down and going to a Villa? Because my thing though is I don't think any of the top teams are going to go in for him. Newcastle, with all the money they have, they're not going to go in for a Maguire. Chelsea have too many defenders. I don't know what Patrick will say about Spurs, whether he wants him at Spurs and so forth. And Arsenal, no. City, no. So really, the only club I can think of in the so-called top 6 is maybe Tottenham. I think everybody else is catered for.
We listen, even though our defenders...
Patrick, Dyer or the fridge? Dyer or the fridge? Who'd you take?
I'll take
it's not even about that.
It's just...
I think someone said it earlier. He has to leave the country. Because he's not leaving the country. One second, let me land. I think he could do a Chris Smalling. He can go somewhere because what we found is under the pressure, under the lights, when everyone's watching him, he kind of has these issues where when he doesn't have as much pressure, when he was playing at Leicester, he was performing well. So I think in a similar situation where he's out of the media spotlight, out of the situation and he's at a team where expectations aren't that high, he goes somewhere either in Italy or similar to Chris Smalling did in Roma, he could do quite well. I don't think it's a thing where he has to stay in the Premier League or he has to go to a Premier League club. I think he could definitely go abroad.
No, Igal, I'm with you. Like that's the right choice to make.
He's shown with England he can play in a back 3. So maybe he goes to a club where they play in a back 3.
Yeah, he could go abroad, but the problem is abroad suits him, but who's gonna come in and sign him for the wages he's on outside of the Premier League?
He's gonna have to take a reduction.
Inside the Premier League,
no one giving him Man United wages.
I understand. Yeah, and I agree with you, Agal. That's why I made the point. I don't think anybody is giving him Manchester United wages outside of the Premier League. But I don't see anybody
even in the Premier League. Even in the Premier
What
League.
I'm saying though, and I agree with you as well. What I'm saying is, in the Premier League, is more likely to get closer to his current wage. So not only is he good? We're talking about his ego. Not only does it look bad, you having to leave England, you're also getting half the money.
Terry, quick one.
At this point, it's not only about that.
How much do you sell him for then? How much do you sell him for then?
Listen,
Whatever you got. What you got,
bag
hey,
of
Jerry? What
peanuts,
you got in your pocket right now?
Any
What you got in your pocket right now?
Because what I'm saying is that will offset what a team can then go and pay him. Do you understand? Because they'll be looking at, look, there's a player he's internationally proven, like you said, an Aston Villa, maybe a Spurs. If they want to rebuild, they might go for a player like that and be like, we'll give you the wages. We're only spending 10 million.
Take him. Why do you keep mentioning Chelsea? Chelsea not in this conversation.
You lot can afford him, number one, and afford his wages, number two.
Flawless,
and I can see Todd
no.
doing that, man. You tell me you can't see Todd be doing that.
On top of it, what Man United might end up having to do with Maguire is still pay him some of his wages. So that is also another option where someone offers him 200 grand a week. Maybe 100 grand a week, and United still have to pay £100,000 a week until the end of his contract. These things happen. We will come back to Man United in a little bit, people, because we're going to talk about the Wolves game and the pressure. But there has been some breaking news since we have been live, and that is that Julian Nagelsmann will not be the Tottenham manager next year. That is 100% ruled out. Not happening. Done and dusted. Buried. The Spurs PR has started, and Spurs are now claiming that they decided to not meet him and have not scheduled any meetings. But I smell a rat. I smell a dirty, stinking rat. But Patrick, your reaction? No Nagelsmann. He will not be the Tottenham manager. Talk to me.
I don't know. I just hope that this is some sort of hullabaloo and where there's some behind the back, no look past type of thing, and we're just putting in some work behind the scenes. Otherwise, I mean, look at the timing, and you lot just all on here laughing and cooking me. It's horrible. The timing just couldn't be any better, could it?
And also, look, there's still time for Bowley. Here's my thing. If Nagelsmann had said, look, Bowley, stop with Pochettino. There's still time to stop. Go back to Nagelsmann and say, yo, Julian, was sorry for playing the waiting game. Come on down. Because if Nagelsmann my fear was, oh my gosh, Nagelsmann's going to go to Tottenham, Poch will come to Chelsea, and if Pochettino actually does something crazy with, if Nagelsmann actually does something really good with Tottenham, that would rub me the wrong way, knowing how close we were to getting Nagelsmann. So my fear was Nagelsmann would actually do better with Tottenham than Pochettino for Chelsea. Because I'm sorry, if it's Poch and Nagelsmann, I don't give a damn about EPL proven. I'd rather take Nagelsmann over Poch. So man, this is great news. And Patrick, how you don't go? Nagelsmann is right there, and he is perfect for what you guys want to freaking. Basically, next maybe I'd say Potter, because I think Potter wouldn't actually be bad for you guys. I think Nagelsmann was actually a damn good fit.
You're trolling, right? You're trolling, huh? You're trolling him. You're 100% trolling him, right?
Yeah, for me, it had to be Pochettino, Nagelsmann, or Marcelo Gallardo. Those are my three top candidates, three top managers that will, like Jerry's saying, bring us back or get us back on track with a rebuild. If this Nagelsmann news is true, because sometimes these things can come out and then something will, hopefully, I'm just hoping, I'm praying and hoping that this is some, some no-look fugazi type of news, and tomorrow we'll hear a better update. But if this is true, then we're finished, because who are we going to go in for that is quality and that will be able to bring this team back to where it needs to be? Because Poch is looking like he's going to Chelsea. Nagelsmann now is off the cards. I can't see anyone else, man.
Patrick, you've still not got a DOF though. You're still looking.
No,
for
that's
DOF,
the thing.
right?
We don't have a DOF. We don't have the manager as it stands. Yeah, it's going to be key to it. But all the news coming out was Nagelsmann.
Don't you have a director like that other guy ahead of the DOF? Didn't you sign somebody?
Steve Mann or whatever his name is. I don't really understand what his role is. He's like the link between the DOF and Daniel Levy. So there's like tiers or layers between it. But the guy's not really got any credentials from a football standpoint. I know he's done some work in Australia, but again, that doesn't fill me with any confidence. So
Patrick,
at the moment,
you don't think that you should worry about the direction of the club when the likes of Nagelsmann don't want to go?
Mate, I've been worried.
Manager.
This isn't new news.
But this is even new. Like, you saw that Nagelsmann is at your club. You thought that now it's a step in the right direction. But now Him not joining the club is like, okay, so where do you go for again? Where do you go from here? There's no, it's something going in the background that we don't know about that is scaring the managers from joining the club.
It's Levy. Levy is the issue.
But didn't Terry say that that Tottenham turned him down? They didn't want to meet with him.
Yeah, but that
doesn't make sense. That doesn't make no sense.
Shit.
Let me just say, guys, on that news. So again, I'm very skeptical of all this type of news. You know, when Man United get rejected, we always say, well, we actually pulled out ourselves. Liverpool talking about, well, we had to walk away from Jude. It was too expensive. But now you're linked to Declan Rice, who's similar money. Man's got rejected. For me, Nagelsmann said no, but Spurs will brief the press because I guarantee you the Spurs tier ones all tonight out of nowhere will be like, yeah, we said we didn't want to speak to him. They did this the summer where they got Nuno. Go back and read. You're not going to do this, but go back and read the press briefings. Up until that point, Spurs were making it sound like it was all under control, and it weren't until after the fact it turned out it was number 13. Everybody else has said no. So maybe Spurs did say no to him, but if they have, they better have an ace up their sleeve. They better be bringing somebody in better because
the ace is Mace.
We better be getting in pot.
1 second.
We better be.
Why is anybody shocked? Tottenham Football Club next season, if forget about the manager, they're taking a massive step backwards as a club. It's not only
stop saying that.
Let's see what happens.
No. It's not a joke. Like they need to tear everything down. They need to tear everything down. They need to go and get an ambitious manager. And I get it that Julian Nagelsmann would have been a great job for them. But do what you guys did with Pochettino. Go find the next. Go find the next Pochettino. Go find somebody who's ambitious, who's willing to do the job, and who's willing to manage Levy and the board. Because guess what? No matter who comes in, it's going to end up in the same way. If you guys just try to keep putting bandages over it with top managers with no clear direction.
People are not going to wait, Igal. That's the problem.
They don't have the infrastructure.
Remember,
not to wait.
Yes. But remember, at Poch's time, there was Arsenal still with the stadium new, and like Manchester City were still in the beginning of the project, even Liverpool with Klopp. And that gave Poch this time to show up and be like, okay, I'm building something. Nobody's going to wait now. Look at Man United. Look at Arsenal. Look at Chelsea even. Nobody's going to wait for Spurs to build again.
Mo, they would rather be building towards something than continuously just trying to stagnate. I genuinely believe Patrick would agree with me there.
Yeah, the thing is, Mo, you say this, but at the end of the day, every year, a team will fall by the wayside and another team will come out of nowhere. It's just the nature of the beast. Like, look at Brighton, look at the run they've been on. No one would have predicted that. No one would have predicted Tottenham to be this bad, Liverpool to be this bad up until now. I put an asterisk there because they've been on a 6-game unbeaten streak and could make top 4. Chelsea as well. So every year, no matter what we think and no matter what it looks like, there's always going to be teams that have a upheaval in terms of where they were last year and teams that fall. So Tottenham, it sounds crazy for me to say this, they're not that far away if they get it right. That means, like Igal said, a good manager coming in, Daniel Levy to step back, get a DOF in and get some
but you're
good
losing
players
Kane
in.
though. Okay, who's your replacements for Kane, Patrick?
Listen, I don't know. I can't answer every question at the moment.
No, but Patrick, you have to answer that question now. No, Patrick, relax, Patrick. I need that answer right now, Patrick. No, Patrick, don't throw your hands up. No, Patrick, sit down, look straight at the camera, and answer this question right now. Because you can't just be slick with that. Trust me, you're not slicker than me. I invented slickness. So, Patrick, you're losing Harry Kane and all those goals. What's the replacement going to be? Don't just be like, no. Slow down, step by step, baby steps. You're losing Harry Kane and all of his goals. Where is his replacement going to be? Answer.
If Harry Kane goes, because he might stay.
Patrick, relax. No, Patrick, don't do this. Patrick, don't do this.
Patrick, I agree with you. I think he'll stay.
No, guys, come on, guys, let's be real.
Why is
he's going?
Wait. Before we go, who told you invented slickness? We ain't just letting that one slide. Where did that? When?
No. It was me. I did.
I'm going to say, all I've got to
He's
say.
talking about his bald head. That's what he is.
All I'm going to say about your slickness, it ain't in your hair. Your hair ain't slick. What's going on? Where's the slickness?
Look, bald is the new cool. So all of you hair merchants and so forth, bald is the new cool. So back to you, Patrick, and Tottenham. So my thing though is look, see, no. Flawless. Wait, if he's leaving, there is no chance in 6 hells Harry Kane is extending. Because if that happens, that is the most shocking thing since the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones.
That's my point.
Okay, so have hope. Let me ask you, where do you think he ends up then?
Harry Kane to Man United is pretty much done.
You think that? All right, cool.
Like, here's the thing though. I think that because something came out and Tuchel said Bayern are looking for a striker. I think because again, just as you guys are saying, I think that more English players need to go abroad just to broaden their football horizons, which actually benefits the English team. Because look at McManaman. He went to Real Madrid. I actually think he actually improved as a player, going to Real Madrid and so forth. So I think Harry Kane going to Bayern, learning under Tuchel, and now Bayern thing will actually improve him come a Euros and a World Cup. But knowing that he wants to break Shearer's record and so forth and everything, he will stay. So, and I feel that the only place that makes sense is United.
If Harry Kane cares more about staying at Tottenham and breaking Shearer's record than he does actually progressing his career and winning trophies and silverware at Bayern, that just tells you who he is as a player.
What does it tell you? What does it tell you? Explain that.
It tells you that he's comfortable in the Premier League and he's comfortable with the situation that he's currently in, and he's not willing to push himself to go abroad and try something new.
Well, what does that say about him? That's the.
It says he's a loser, basically. It basically says he's a loser.
He's a loser.
He says he's a loser and he's unambitious. But I was trying to be nice. So the reality is that's what he is. He's not willing to
let it all out.
Egal, this is the terrorist. Terry is the nastiest person on. He don't need to be nice. So
listen, the reality is we know Harry Kane. He's going to end up staying for one more year. He's going to make it. Oh, it's my mission to win a trophy with Tottenham before, and then he's going to probably leave on a free to United or someone else in the Premier League when he get in a year's time.
Levy is not letting Kane go for free. So let's just
Levy has no choice in the matter at this point.
Levy is the most businessman on planet Earth. There is a 0% chance Levy will allow his most prized assets to go for nothing. That's not happening. So trust me, that is not Levy. Trust me, Levy does not mess with business. Levy is getting something for Harry Kane.
Levy at this point might have viewed it as an asset that he used to the full. And he's like, you know what?
I don't think Levy's not in control anymore. The power's in Kane's hand. He's got 13 months left on his contract. Obviously, after the summer, it winds down to 12. The power's in Harry Kane's hands. But
but Patrick, Levy can still be like, I can't lose you in a free. The power is in your hands. Or okay, put it this way, Levy, either 50 mil or nothing. And let's keep it a stat.
What?
In 12 months. No, but hold up. So if you keep him for the year, are you really sure that with the team that you have constructed, you're really going to win a trophy the next year? Looking at what Newcastle are doing, Liverpool are going to re-up, Chelsea will re-up. So if you Levy, being the businessman, because he puts business before trophies, Levy will be like, I'd rather get something for my most prized assets than let my most prized assets live for completely nothing.
He would have been sold to Man City. That's
exactly why everyone's saying they think he'll go in the powers of Kane, because as a businessman, you're never replacing Harry Kane. Spurs are never going to spend enough money to replace the goal because they can't afford Mbappe, they can't afford Haaland. There's no other striker in the world, in my opinion, that scored. They can't afford Osherman. So you either let him leave for free and then you have no money and no replacement, or you get what you can for him and reinvest it. And as a businessman, it's all the pro Tottenham PR merchants out there that are like, no, he won't let him go. It will drag on. Levy is dumb. Levy's not stupid. He's not going to allow his player next year to leave for nothing. And I think Kane, as long as he gets the right offer from the right club where he believes in the direction they're going in, he will force the move harder this time round because he's 2 years older than. It wasn't last time. It was summer before, wasn't it? Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years older. He has got no time to waste. Now, if he wants to stay, he wants to become this, because there's talk about offering him some kind of sort of apprentice scheme around the director of football role and giving him power at the club. More power to him. He doesn't have the minerals to play for a Man United or a Chelsea or a Liverpool if he stays at Spurs and does that, in my opinion. He doesn't have the ability or the mental strength to play for a massive, giant club. But I hope he does. I hope he does.
Do you think, though, you think Terry, though, for his legacy? Yeah, I'm saying, for his legacy, though, right? Let's say he moves to United, but for whatever reason, he can't get the same amount of goals that he does at Tottenham because he doesn't become the main man. There's other options. And he doesn't break Shearer's record. And he doesn't go and win a trophy after moving to United or whoever. Is that not a bigger L for him? Is he not looking at it now thinking, you know what? It might be a massive risk to go to United. If I don't, because right now...
Oh, no. But Jerry, no risk, no reward.
Have hope. He asked me the question. Let me answer it. Like, it is, but that's the mentality you want, to take the risk.
I agree.
And that for me, and that, of course it does. If he leaves and goes to United and he does a Torres, now Torres won a Champions League, but overall Torres' career at Chelsea was kind of laughed at. He wasn't the same player that he was at Liverpool. If he goes to United and over 3 years only scores 25 goals, doesn't win a trophy, the Man United fans hate him. He's treated in 3 years' time, he's looked at as more Harry Maguire than Harry Kane. Then it's a huge L for him, and it will damage his long-standing legacy. But I think he has to risk that for the higher reward of being a genuine, in my opinion, bona fide Premier League legend. And without that EPL or that Champions League title, while being a Premier League player, he'll be a legend, but he'll never sit on that table with Rooney's and Henry's and Aguero's and Drogba's. And I know he wants to dine there. He just can't come on that table because you don't sit on that table without big medals. You don't get to come to that table.
You know what I just wanted to say?
It's the Manchester United as well. There's no safety net. There's none of this. Oh, the team around you is not good. Like, because that Spurs, what happens is, whether it's Carabao Cup, you know what I'm saying, FA Cup, Europa League, when Spurs lose it, it's in Spurs' DNA, it's Spursy, all this type of stuff. Harry Kane is good enough to help Spurs win a trophy. Like, let's not get, like, they went out in the domestic cups, I believe, to Sheffield United and Nottingham Forest this season. Harry Kane's the best player on the pitch.
You're flawless. You know what this does?
They're good enough to beat, they're good enough, but that's the safety net. So as soon as Spurs don't win, it's, Harry Kane needs better players around him. But if Spurs were to win a trophy, he's taken all the praise. And the thing is, like I've said before, I said it last week speaking on this, take Manchester United out of the equation, his options are not that great. That's why I see him staying at Spurs. Where's he going to if he stays in the Premier League? Who can afford him?
Newcastle.
Who can afford his wages? Does he want to go? Do Newcastle want him?
Yeah. I don't even know. But
I
just wanted to add on what Flawless was saying quickly. Going back to what the question Jerry was saying. All it does, going and leaving Tottenham and going to Manchester United, solves the allegations against him. So the allegations right now is it Spurs that are the issue, or is it Kane that's the issue? Is Kane not the big game player, or is it just that it's the Spurs gene? If he leaves and he's not in that environment anymore, and he's at a club that expectations are a little bit higher and they need to win these trophies, then if he's not delivering at that point, then you can say it's him. And it's not the club anymore.
But cool. But Igao, look, from Kane's perspective, I'm not saying I agree with this, right? He's going to look at it and be like, I've got a chance to go and break that Shearer record. That might not be broken for how many other years. So my name's always going to be in the conversation, right? He might be thinking like that. That's more of a guarantee, me being at Spurs, because I'm just the main man. I can get my goals and we can try for trophies. Might not get a trophy. But the way he was talking in that interview, it sounded like his decision's set. He wants to get that Shearer record.
But do you know why that's so sorry? Do you know why that is so crazy though? Like, let's keep it real. What is Shearer's real great achievements? It ain't that record. It's Blackburn Rovers in 95.
No, it's not.
That is his...
No, it's not. The record, bro.
Yes, no, Patrick. Yes, no, it's not. It's not the freaking record. No, it's not.
Slow down. Alan Shearer himself spoke about this. I've watched the video where he speaks about breaking... It isn't even breaking the Prem record. It was breaking the Newcastle goal scoring record at the Gallagher end. And I don't remember the name of the legend that whose goal he replaced. It eludes me right now. He said that meant more to him than medals. However, I don't know if I believe him. I know he won a Premier League and he won it at Blackburn, but then he went to his boyhood club. You know, sometimes if you've never had something, you don't know whether you like it. This guy never had regular long-term success. And for me, I don't know. It's a hard one. For me, maybe Kane's more like Alan Shearer and believes breaking records is more important than winning medals. But I agree with you, Have Hope. You see Shearer's biggest accolade as being the Premier League, and I get that.
But sorry, can I just say something? Because most people that talk about Alan Shearer don't talk about his record, his medal with Blackburn. They talk about him being the all-time leading goal scorer, 260 goals. That's the mark that Haaland or Kane or whoever wants to get. No one talks about his Premier League. So I don't agree with you.
Okay,
you want to know what?
No, but Patrick, no, hold on.
So guys,
guys. So what business are we in there?
Guys, I've got to change the subject. I'm very sorry. This is breaking news. Breaking news right now from the Times Sports that the Glazers and the Raine group are now willing to enter final talks with Sir Jim Ratcliffe and his team to thrash out a deal to buy Manchester United. The Glazers' reign could be coming to an end. A new owner could be on their way in. That is coupled, though, with a report out of from the continent that claims that the Qataris remain highly confident, and it is reported that they will also go into final talks as well. So both Sir Jim and the Qataris this afternoon, it's being reported, will go into final talks with the Glazers. That takeover is potentially nearing a conclusion. I'm sorry to change the subject off of the debate we were on, but obviously breaking news dictates. How are you feeling about that, Flawless?
One thing I have to say, lovely graphic. I know, it's complete side note. I love the graphic. That was great with the breaking news thing. Fire, Terry. I just got to give you your flowers, 110%. Like, really, for real. But in regards to that, I'm glad to hear that it's finally coming to, like you said, final talks. Obviously, I want Sheikh Jassim for obvious reasons, because Sir Jim Ratcliffe's deal and his bid has the Glazers potentially staying in some form, which is absolutely ridiculous and shows he doesn't want what's best for the football club. So, and the fact that all the rivals want us to get Jim Ratcliffe as well tells you all you need to know. So, I am glad to hear that it's in. You man are jokers. I am glad to hear that it is in the final stages to get these crooks out that the Glazers are, and this is massive for Manchester United. This deal right here is dependent on what we can do. If we do get Sheikh Jassim in, that could us potentially now being in a position to challenge and compete for top honors for years to come. However, if we get Jim Ratcliffe, in my opinion, our ceiling is what's happened this season. Second tier trophies, Europa Leagues, FA Cups, League Cups, and like top 4 challenges. I don't, with how everybody else is investing in the Premier League and how all the other teams are looking, I don't see us being able to compete with Jim Ratcliffe. So that's why I'm fully on Sheikh Jassim and a pause, and hopefully that that deal, you know what I'm saying, comes to a conclusion. Strong pause, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. And a few people in the comments are saying, so it's just the 4th bid. The difference here is there'll be direct talks between the family. Haven't had talks yet with any of these buyers directly. It's all been with the board and with management and through lawyers. This is direct talks and negotiations and conversations. So again, it all depends on what side. Again, it's funny how 2 days ago the news broke that Sir Jim was a preferred bidder. Everybody jumped on the Sun's article because it was Sir Jim and everyone loved it, including a few Liverpool fans, which I found very weird. But the same day, 2 hours earlier, the Express had said that it was going to be the Qataris. And for some reason, rivals didn't get that story trending. So I would say to Man United fans, just remain relaxed. Rivals are laughing and smiling that it might be Sir Jim. My personal thoughts are a little different from Flawless. I want the Qataris. I don't think Sir Jim will be as bad as some people are projecting he will be, but I understand the fears. I don't think anybody sinks £6 billion into a club if we only stay where we are, he's going to lose money in the long term. And these billionaires don't lose money. You can't keep it as it is. You have to invest money. My only fear with him is the debt and who's going to be paying it and who's going to be responsible. That's a big fear for me. But both have promised major injections of cash, major investment in the squad, debt to be removed. I'm still more nervous about Sir Jim's than I am the Qataris. And I don't like the idea of the Glazers staying and being involved.
That's what I was going to ask you about, Terry. Does that not concern you that his deal is reportedly with them staying in some form?
It does. It does and it doesn't. So for me, I've heard a lot of people say 100% sale only. Well, if they reject all the 100% bids, the other option is them 100% and it stays as it is. So I would still rather take the risk of Sir Jim and slowly remove them than it remain as it is right now. It's the better of those two options, but I would prefer the Qataris. But if the Glazers are not willing to sell 100% of the club, there's very little that anybody can do about that, barring the fans boycotting, and they won't fucking boycott. So there's no point moaning about it. So yeah, I'm just keeping my powder dry. I'm not going to go all in on Jim, and then if he does a great job in 2 years, be clipped up and looking silly. So I'm just going to keep my powder. I've got my reservations. I've got my concerns, and I understand other people's, but I'm not having a meltdown because this time last year, Man United fans were twerking for Sir Jim. They wanted him, and you've only got to look at the fact that a lot of the media have reported that although it's a different names from Qatar, there's a fervent belief that at the core, it's the same people that would run us that be running PSG. We've all pretty much read that, right?
Say that last bit again. It'd be the same people. Say that again.
At its core. So it'll be different names in terms of who's officially running the club, but at its core, it's believed that the same people in Qatar would have a massive say around what's going on at United as they do as PSG.
Okay.
And if that's the case, currently the PSG fans are boycotting the club over how it's run. So there is question marks over both people coming in terms of their ability to get the team to where we want it. So that's why I'm remaining a little bit more neutral. I know a lot of United fans are going, very good for getting followers, by the way, going on to Jim and everybody loves you. I'm just going to remain a little bit more diligent and keep my powder dry until we know a little bit more.
No, I mean, but sorry, I think the key difference between PSG and United is PSG was founded in 1970. So I think that literally those owners are coming in and creating the culture. Whereas for United, there's already a backlog of culture and decades and decades. So when you're coming in, you can't impose any culture because there's too much history that's coming in with United, which is not the same for PSG. Hence why PSG is such like a holiday camp. So
I completely and utterly understand that. And as I say, I want the Qataris far more than I want Sir Jim. But this is interesting, Terry. But a year ago, Jim was the only one bidding. Yes, but if he was as bad as the Glazers a year ago, it shouldn't have mattered. It should still have been a no. What I feel a lot is happening is we're not quite getting exactly what we want, and it's making people angry. But I still believe we're upgrading from a Skoda to a BMW M4. We might not be getting a Bugatti, but we're still getting better owners. And if nobody else is willing to pay the Glazers price, I don't know. I'd rather try something new than stay with them. But I do get the reservations. I do get the challenge. I'm not saying it's unjust. But we're
all playing for Jim.
I think
let's make it happen, man.
Of course you are.
I think this is the thing that I would be more worried about if I was a United fan. The fact that if the Qataris don't buy you guys, they could now go buy Liverpool or Tottenham and then raise them up to a City level in a couple of years' time. And you would have missed out on that type of investment. And God knows what's going to happen with you guys. But regardless, whatever happens, the Qataris are going to buy a Premier League club. I genuinely believe that they're not going to stop until they buy a Premier League club.
Don't need that money that the Emiratis
No,
have.
it's not that.
Man United already is a big club. Already they spend money. They just need the right structure. They just need the right management.
No, that's not the point.
But what you said that they want to raise to the level of City. Man United already there. They just need the right.
You missed my point completely.
You just said that.
My point is, if you don't get the Qataris, they're going to buy somebody else and they're going to make them more competitive than what they are right now. And you would rather they make you more competitive and they make Manchester United better. Because let's be honest, Manchester United, yes, I agree with you. They don't need the money. But if they're run correctly and they have very ambitious owners, what's stopping them from having a Galactico squad every year?
No, but it's not. But Igao, it's not the money that they need. What they need, if you're looking at City, they need the structure that City have that's made them that successful. Because United already have the money. United can go and attract whoever. Like even in United's worst time, they're still signing the likes of Falcao, Di Maria. When United were terrible, they were still able to do that. Tottenham, as an example, if the Qataris went to Tottenham, that's a benefit to them because currently they have the inability to spend. Liverpool, as an example, don't spend in the same way. United already spend. So if they come in and have got a structure there, then it doesn't matter.
But that's why Man United getting the Qataris is more. That's why Man United getting the Qataris is more important to them because it stops other people from catching up to them financially.
I agree with you. I get where you're both coming from. A lot of people saying that Sir Jim is broke, which is weird. Sir Jim would be the wealthiest individual owner of a Premier League club outside of state-owned football clubs. So he wouldn't have as much money as the Saudi group or City's Sheikh and Abu Dhabi, but he'd be the richest individual owner of a Premier League club. We could still become brilliant under him. There's no doubt about it because we have the money, especially if the debt's gone. Where I agree with you, Igao, is somebody else might get the Qataris and be elevated, and it's another team that's competing on that same financial level. So that's another reason why I would prefer them. But again, it all depends on your standpoint. I just want the Glazers out of my football club because they are rotten parasites and we need them removed. But we'll see what happens with that. We'll see how it develops. There's no more in relation to that. We are going to move on to the Premier League games that are coming up this weekend. We've kind of gone on a bit of a burden on this show because there's been like 3 bits of breaking news. But another bit of news that's come out since we've been live as well. We spoke about this earlier, that Declan Rice to Arsenal. Is it done? According to TalkSport's West Ham correspondent, he has stated, and his words are, he's going to Arsenal. That's what I've been told, that he is going to Arsenal. However, in the last 30 minutes, it has broke from Jacob Steinbeck, one of the most respected transfers journalists out there, that Man United are planning a big money move this summer for Declan Rice. Arsenal have put a lot of groundwork in, but now face competition from United for the West Ham midfielder. From your point of view, Igao, how important is it that you land Declan Rice and get it over the line?
honestly, if we just need to get our number one targets at this point, I feel like we've been going for second targets so many times that it's key that we not only do we get Declan Rice, but we try to get him in early in the transfer window so we can move on and get some of our other business done. And I would say we need 2 midfielders in the summer. So depending on who the first one is, if it is Declan Rice, we'll have to see how much we're gonna spend on the next one. But if we don't get Declan Rice, I still trust the club to have a succession plan. But I would say Declan Rice is a key part of our summer transfer window, and I don't want to miss out, similar to Modric and these other guys. So I would say he's right up there at the top of the list.
And what's your view on the £120 million total price for the player? Ben Jacobs played that down today, said it could be more near a 90. But if you had to pay 120 for him, as a fan, would you sanction that and be happy with that amount of money being spent on Declan Rice?
The money, footballers' price tags have gone through the roof. And at this point, let's be honest, Enzo wasn't worth 120. All these guys are not really worth that much money. The reason why they're going for that much money is because because of the clubs that's selling. They don't necessarily need to sell. And 2, it's because of their potential. And is he going to be ever worth that type of money? I don't think so. Are we overpaying? Probably. Are we going to end up paying 120? I don't know if we will. I think we might actually try to pay like 90 mil plus Eddie Nketiah or something. Try to get it down as much as possible. And that might be something that West Ham would actually be interested in if they still want Eddie or somebody else from the squad. But yeah, I think the club is going to try their best to pay less than 100 million and maybe even a player swap if we can. And
do you think Arsenal is better, Igal, to put all their eggs in one basket and spend that and get Declan Rice, and he's the one who's going to change the look of your midfield instead of going for someone cheaper and getting another top midfielder? Because, if you get Declan Rice, you might not get the second best. You might get now someone who is a squad filler instead of getting 2 guys that will come in and change the way you look.
I think Declan Rice has the potential to be one of the best midfielders in the league. And what he's done at West Ham, if he's in a better squad, what's stopping him from improving to that level? He's still very young. He's an England international. He has everything going for him. So to pay that price, we've seen players go for players with much less quality go for way more than that. So let's be honest.
Wait, way more than 120?
No, I mean, like, we've seen players that are nowhere near their valuation go for crazy money, like Modric. Let's be honest.
But that doesn't make just because others are doing it doesn't make it a good deal for you. I do agree with you. We have seen players move and that's not their value, but we've also seen players move for their value. We've seen other teams get value for money. So paying 120 million for Rice just because Chelsea paid 100 million for Modric, or Chelsea paid 120, or United paid X amount for X player, that doesn't make sense. That's still
I think it's inflation.
120 for Rice is crazy.
I think honestly, the deal is not going to be 120 at the end of the day. I generally believe it's going to be
90 million is too much.
I think it's going to be south of 100 million. I believe come the end of the window.
But are you not worried about that what happened with Calvin Phillips, though? Like, look at Calvin Phillips. He was a superstar at Leeds, had a great season with them, and then he went to Pep Guardiola, and he didn't live up to the hype. And they paid only 50 million for him.
I think Calvin Phillips... I think Declan Rice is a much better player than Calvin Phillips. Calvin Phillips' issue might be fitness, if I'm not mistaken, or something else, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't actually seen people say, oh, he's regressed as a football player. It's mostly about his fitness. And I think Declan Rice is much more professional than that. He won't let himself go like Calvin Phillips.
But Igal, here's the thing. Let me ask you, so do you feel Declan Rice would have made up the difference this season? So let's say you had Declan Rice in Arsenal this season. Do you think that would have made the difference for Arsenal to winning the title, for example? Because you made the point that Declan Rice would have a monumental effect on Arsenal, which I think is crazy. I think that could have an effect, but we're not talking about peak Kante. We're not talking about peak Busquets and so forth. We're talking about a pretty decent and useful midfielder. Because he's very useful, but let's keep it a stack. 120 for Rice is crazy because 120 should be a guy who's a game changer. And also, come on, you said Enzo. I'm sorry, Enzo's a World Cup winner. There's a World Cup winner tax, which makes the 120 fully legitimate. But from like Declan Rice,
Premier League tax on Declan Rice, by the way, and that's just as high as the World Cup tax.
Wait, you can't say that. You can't equate an EPL tax to a World Cup tax.
1 second, I'm drawing the comparison. You don't need to go crazy on that. There is a comparison based on the fact that yes, he plays in Benfica and there's a World Cup tax, but also being an English player, playing for England, and being a starter at West Ham, being their captain, and let's be honest, Premier League clubs not needing to actually sell to each other to generate cash, there is no reason for them to sell. They're going to try to get as much money as possible. And I understand why they're going to put a crazy price tag. I'm not going to justify the club paying 120 mil, because I think anyone paying 120 mil for any player, it's going to be difficult to get the return on investment. But Declan Rice, he's a quality player, and he's a very much a level raiser in our midfield. Same way Caicedo would have been a level raiser in our midfield. It adds another younger quality player, so we can then move on from Granit Xhaka or Partey in this foreseeable future and have a better player.
Before you go, Agal, which one do you want him to replace? Is it Partey or is it Xhaka in your midfield?
I personally think Declan Rice can play both.
Okay, so what's your preference then?
I would personally go get either Caicedo or Latvia with a Rice in the summer.
So you're looking at Rice as the Xhaka replacement, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're looking to spend 200 million on 2 midfielders. Is that what you're looking for?
No. I'm looking at 90 mil for Declan Rice and another
90 mil plus a player that is worth about 25. That's what you said. 90 mil plus Nketiah. So that's money. That's an asset.
And then another 6. Personally, I think Arsenal are going to probably spend close to 280 this summer. It's going to be a club record fee.
280. But Egal, you see spending that amount of money. The only way it can be justified. The only way it can be justified is if you win the league.
What?
I said the only way it can be justified is if you win the league. You've got to win something.
Bro, that's the ambition. The ambition is to win the league.
No, the ambition's there, but for him to be the only way we'll sit here and be like, look, it worked, is the same way with Liverpool. And they bought Van Dijk, and everyone was like, oh my God, why did you spend so much money? Look at the return on investment. Like, he's not directly involved with goals, assists, or anything like that, but a massive transformation to the club. Do you think Declan Rice is going to provide that? Forget how much he costs. He could cost 300 million. Do you think he's going to give that to Arsenal? Because that's what Have Hope is asking. Does Rice move the barometer? Is he the difference between? Oh, you know what? Arsenal would have won the league if they had them this year. You know.
Is he or Haaland?
I agree. I don't think Rice is the difference maker.
I think
he's a good player, and that's it.
I think Rice at Arsenal, you guys will see the difference he'll make in comparison to West Ham, where West Ham, as much as it's been they've been doing well over the last couple of years, the level of the midfield will raise. Having Declan Rice in that midfield.
No. But Igal, you have to be specific. What difference does he make? Be specific. So when he comes, we win the title, we win this trophy. Like, what is the difference between without Rice and with Rice?
It's a strength in depth. It's as if we don't lose. Imagine we have the midfield we have right now, and we add Declan Rice. You now have somebody who can play in the Xhaka role when Xhaka's out. You have somebody who can also play. You have somebody who can also play for Partey, who's not been as reliable, and it raises the ceiling of this team, having another young player coming into that midfield to raise it to another level. One second before you guys make me scramble. If you want to get into the granular details, let's be honest. Not only is he a great box-to-box midfielder, but he's one of the best midfielders to win the ball back in the midfield, and he'll definitely help us with our defensive attributes and our attacking attributes. Overall, he's a massive improvement on our midfield, and he would be basically replacing Mohamed El-Neni.
I hear you, Agal. Does he improve you? Yes. Nobody's disputing that. He improves you 110%. But just because a player improves you doesn't mean he is the right answer. Because the question Have Hope asked is he the difference between Arsenal winning a trophy
we won't
or
know
not winning a trophy? No, but we don't.
We're
having a conversation. No, we don't know, but we're having the conversation right now.
I can give you my reasons, but at the end of the day, I can't. That doesn't mean it's going to happen.
No. But Egal is an example. If I went and told you Prime Messi comes to Arsenal, he's the difference maker between Arsenal winning or not. If I told you Prime Suarez comes to Arsenal, he's the there's a strong argument to say Arsenal win the league. Does Rice move the needle like that?
I think regardless of who we bring in. Once again, listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Regardless of
Igal, I would vote for you. Igal, I am voting for you, bro. You have my vote.
If it's Declan Rice, if it's Caicedo, if it's Latvia, 2 midfielders of quality coming into this team push us on to guarantee challenge again and win and try to win the league. Declan Rice, what he does, he not only brings us to that level, but he secures us for the next 10 years in that midfield.
10 years. What he does. Do you know what I would
about
say?
120 M still.
You know what I would say this though? Like, I want Declan Rice at Man United. I'm really happy that we're going in for him. I'm not scared of being rejected for Arsenal because it really won't bother me. But I'd like him at Man United. But if we do bring in Kim, a Harry Kane, and a Declan through our core, that will move the needle for Man United. That will push us. I don't think we'll win the league year 2 under Ten Hag, but will push us into a title race because you suddenly become an exponentially better and stronger side through doing that. So listen, I hope it's true that Man United are looking for him. The question I've got for you all before we get onto the action this weekend, if Man United and Arsenal bid, say 100 million each, where does Declan Rice go in your opinion, Mo?
It's a very awkward question because we keep asking this question, and I think with the ownership change, I think he would go Man United, especially if Arsenal don't win the league. If Arsenal win the league, he will definitely, without thinking, he will go to Arsenal. But just because of that dip in form, and if of course if Man United make the Champions League, if you don't make the Champions League, I don't think he would even consider going to Man United, to be honest. But I think he would go to Man United, especially with the news about the change of ownership. It's a promising project, and I think because he knows that he would go and be an integral part of a new Man United that probably will challenge for titles. I think I would back Man United to challenge for titles more than Arsenal, to be honest.
I disagree with you there. I think he would go Arsenal. He's a London lad, lives in London.
Oh, you put it this way, that's different. I'm not talking about you're not putting the London in.
Also as well, he's got good friends. He's good friends with a lot of the English players. So like your Sakas, Nketiah played in the under-21s with him. So he's got that connection as well. Smith Rowe. I think it probably makes more sense. Arteta, the younger manager, probably sees more of the Arsenal, resurgence and what they got going on there. Probably make more sense for him to go Arsenal, in my opinion.
You give personal reasons, Patrick, but project-wise, footballing-wise,
reasons also.
But there's a footballing reason there.
Arsenal's project at this moment in time,
100%.
just coming off a title challenge is a little bit more of an exciting project. They're both exciting.
But you don't see this is the pinnacle of the Arsenal project. You don't see this is it. This is the top of the mountain.
He's the man to take them over to move the needle, man.
I'm sorry.
So this is it.
I'm sorry.
So you think flawless based on Igala's talk? Yes.
No. Elaborate. What do you mean this is it? Do you think this is
like I'm
Hey, Mo, you pissed him off.
But like elaborate. What do you mean this is the ceiling? Because like to say ceiling, like, implying that this is the best the team can get.
It's not bad.
Clearly there's nowhere near
this.
You asked me a question.
Let Mo go. Let him answer. Go on.
You asked me a question. I just think. I just think that probably, this is your challenging for the title this year was it. This is your chance. This was your chance in winning the title, and you dropped the ball. Like, I think maybe going forward, I think it's other.
How dare you?
I don't know what I swear, Igal, I'm not a banter guy. I just feel
like really
Oh man!
Listen,
guys, you're gonna piss him off on me.
Listen. I honestly
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Arsenal will prove me wrong.
I think we can dispute who has the more ambitious project, but at the end of the day, it's gonna show based on who goes harder in the transfer window to try to bridge that gap. Right? The reality is we've done a lot of damage in the Premier League this season. To say that this is the ceiling with the youngest squad in the league, with the performances that we played, the way that we performed, I don't think that's a fair analysis of what we've been doing this season. To say, oh, it's a one season wonder, or next year we're gonna fall off, that's crazy to me. Especially if we improve our squad, bring in better players as we're planning to do. So I think Declan Rice. If we're gonna, we can't read Declan Rice's mind, but the fact that Arsenal have been speaking to him consistently, and we're hearing reports that he's destined to go to Arsenal. We're hearing Jamie Carragher talking about Declan Rice to Arsenal seems like more than just paper talk. We're hearing about all these different things constantly about Declan Rice to Arsenal. Those things have legs. And as much as I know we've seen all the things with Jude Bellingham to Liverpool and these things can change.
I've experienced it,
bro. I agree
don't
that they can change.
Too early, man.
I agree that they can change.
One
second. I agree things can change, but at this moment in time, it does seem like Declan Rice would probably choose Arsenal based on the fact that he's been having the groundworks to get it sorted.
I was
well over a year.
responding to what Terry said. Terry said specific things. Terry said we're adding Min-Jae, we're adding Harry Kane. If you're going to Declan Rice and telling Declan Rice, you're the guy who's going to come and change Arsenal, but you go to Declan Rice and say, you are coming to Man United on top of Harry Kane, on top of Min-Jae, and a change of ownership, he's going to look at the two projects and think, maybe I would go to Man United to play next to Casemiro.
I look at it this way. I think Arsenal are the front runners for him. I also say don't write Chelsea off. We know what Todd Bowley's like. Don't write Chelsea off in this race. Yeah, absolutely.
No, Declan Rice himself would write Chelsea off.
No, mate, listen, probably he wants Champions League football, but
he wants the ambition to win.
I get that, but I would just, again, I don't think Chelsea. I just say Chelsea are not a front runner, but I wouldn't completely write them off as zero chance because football is a funny old game. Man United can convince him to come. It's just, I think Arsenal are too far down. Arsenal not to sign him now would be massive L. He agreed personal terms with you, albeit in principle, like 3 months ago. You've got to get this deal done, Arsenal. It's massive for you. The super chat here says, depends if Arsenal will match anything United offer or if Rice will demand a move to Arsenal. It's obvious Arsenal have certain valuation like with Mudryk. That's true, though. Man United go, there's 350, 400 grand a week. That changes the needle massively. That moves the needle massively. Arsenal are way ahead. This guy is on one, as in way ahead of Manchester United. Rice to Arsenal, 85 million plus Emil Smith-Rowe. That's pretty good because Emil Smith-Rowe, he ain't going to be it at Arsenal. There's no way.
I think Emil Smith-Rowe is getting trained on playing in a new position. So let's see how that works.
What's the new role? What's the new position?
He's going to play in the 8. Before he was playing as a left winger.
Okay. Right.
It's the 8th seat on the bench.
My view with Emil Smith-Rowe, and I mean no disrespect to Emil Smith-Rowe, but the amount of times in the last month that Arsenal needed players to come on and change games, and he's never him. The fact it's never him, for me, is telling. Especially he was a starlet that was either in your starting lineup or key from your bench last year. Maybe he turns it round, but I've got a feeling that he may be on his bike a little bit. But we will see with that one. Viewers, make sure the like button has been smashed. Make sure you're subscribing to the Terrace. Remember, you can still enter our raffle for 2 tickets and £250 spending money to the FA Cup final, Man City versus Manchester United. You can enter the raffle with the QR code on the screen or link in our description below. In terms of this weekend, gents, obviously a big race now heating up in the top 4. How do we see the games going this weekend? Liverpool play Monday night, Newcastle tomorrow away against Leeds, and United at home against Wolves. Where are the points being dropped this weekend in the top 4 race? And Flawless, you look nervous, bruv. You look nervous.
I've never done. That's my thinking face. That's what that was. I was thinking about this. Never nervous because I still think we'll finish in the top 4. Even though form has been poor. In regards to it, do I think we beat Wolves tomorrow? Yes. I was more so thinking about the nervousness might have been coming from I don't see Newcastle dropping points at Leeds, and I don't see Leicester taking anything off Liverpool as well. So we're going to be back here next week with a game week on, and still all in the same position and still talking about this. But yeah, I think we'll be fine. And like I said, I've said before, I've said for months now that I think Manchester United will finish in the top 4, despite the poor form, despite Rashford being injured. It's because, one, our home form being so good and 3 of the 4 home games, 3 of the 4 remaining games being at home, we're still a point ahead of Liverpool with a game in hand as well. And it's no guarantee Newcastle and Liverpool win all their games. But if anyone drops points, I actually think it will be Newcastle over this weekend.
I fully agree. I had Manchester United dropping out a couple of weeks ago, but then I just seen the games and I'm like, it's too many games for you guys to drop that many points. Like you have too many games on hand, and Liverpool left it for too late. So if Liverpool is going to get into this top 4, the only team that can bottle it from here is probably Newcastle. And the reason why I say Newcastle is because if you look, yes, they have relegation fodder Leeds, but if Leeds at this moment in time, I potentially see them getting something over Newcastle than Manchester United dropping points to Wolves. And then they play Brighton again. Yeah, Brighton quick succession. Quick succession. So with Newcastle's remaining fixtures, I could see them dropping off and maybe just similar to Leicester in a couple of years ago, not getting points against Brighton. Leicester fighting for relegation. You have two teams fighting for relegation. Brighton, who's similar level to Newcastle. I really do see Newcastle potentially dropping out and Liverpool squeezing into that final top 4 spot.
I don't know. I'm looking at it, and both Newcastle and Liverpool have got relegation candidates. Well, we're facing relegation candidates in Leeds and Leicester. Those games will be tough. I assume they will be tougher than they look on paper. I think they will. I think with Allardyce coming in, we may see a different Leeds. Leicester look down in the dumps, but you don't know. Knowing Liverpool, they'll probably turn up against us. But we've been on a ridiculous run of form, so I don't think we'll drop points. I think Wolves being in that 40-point mark might have some pressure relieved off them. And it always seems to me that Wolves play really well when there's no pressure on them. And I think United, being on the run they are, I know Rashford's out as well. You might drop points. And I said this, I think it will be a crazy season. I think United drop out and I think Liverpool pick them. It's the first time I've said it, but I think United drop out the top 4.
Yeah, clipping
I think
people.
Liverpool end up having a better season, which is crazy to say.
Is that only based on United not having Rashford because their home form is immense? You know,
the home form's immense, but the run of form's been terrible though. Terrible. All this talk about Ten Hag, all of a sudden there seems to be like an uneasiness surrounding United, whereas 3 weeks ago it seemed as though United were solid.
It's because we're United,
but that's not home form again. Sorry, Flawless. They still won at home.
Yeah.
The draw against Spurs away, all their losses and the drop points are away. We just keep forgetting this because they have they have played away from home a lot lately. So we forgot they only played one game at home in the last 5 games, I guess, which is the one against Villa when they won, right? Is that am I wrong here? Every other game was away. Brighton, Spurs.
Spurs was away. Yeah, Brighton was away. West Ham was away.
Every single game that they dropped point was away, and that's and their away form isn't the greatest anyway. So we knew this is gonna happen. Yeah. But now they're going home to Wolves who are on the beach. And you're telling me that
I was going to say that Wolves are on the beach. And I was going to say, Jerry, as well, you mentioned the uneasiness. It's Manchester United. Whenever we don't win, the sky's falling. You know what I'm saying? Social media, Terry will know this on the show. As soon as Manchester United, we can draw. You know what I'm saying? 100%. We could go away to somewhere, a draw.
But I think,
the sky's falling. It's like Manchester United are still in a position of power.
Look, I agree. Liverpool and United always have that same situation. When you lose, it's just, it's hell on earth.
It's the purge.
But what I'm saying is, I've just got a feeling. Look, I think Allardyce to Leeds, I think if he comes in a month earlier or a couple games earlier, I think he's able to go and instill his kind of principles into them. I think you saw it against City, and obviously that's a City they were playing. But the way they got opened up was just it looked a bit silly, especially when they don't have that press. I think Newcastle, when they even against Arsenal, I know they went and lost, but they started the game extremely well, and should have been up. I think Newcastle haven't been as bad as people think. And I know people, and it's right to go and say, look, they're shaky. It's Newcastle. They haven't got a history of entering the top 4 in recent memory like that. So, of course, they're going to be the ones you look at and be like, you know what, we think they're going to go and drop out. I just feel they're going to end the season a bit stronger. I think they beat Leeds. I think Liverpool beat Leicester, but the Wolves one, just because they're on the beach, I think they actually play better. We've seen that in the past with teams that have gone through, have kind of survived relegation early, and they don't sit back and lose games. They actually start playing better because they haven't got the pressure of, oh my God, this game means something. If I lose, our team goes down, or if we win, that's the difference between us making Europe or not. They're just mid-table. So I see that potentially.
Yeah, potentially. I'm on the flip side. I'd rather play teams who are on the beach. I don't want to face teams who are chasing down titles, chasing down top 4, 100%. Chasing down European spaces, 100%. Or chasing down relegation. I want to face teams who are relieved of the pressure. We just seen Chelsea beat Bournemouth. I don't think Chelsea beat Bournemouth if Bournemouth are in a relegation battle.
And equally, all of Man United's 4 games were against teams with nothing to play for.
Yes.
So they're all. So again, but it's about us. I look at it being about Man United, and it's about Liverpool, and it's all. We're all in control of our own destiny. If Leeds beat Newcastle because they're fighting harder, they don't deserve top 4. If we get beat by Wolves tomorrow because they're relaxed and we can't beat them at home, We don't deserve top 4.
Yeah.
You have to. Liverpool. This may be Man United and Newcastle both win. This could be the first game in about 6 weeks that Liverpool are under pressure in, because when you've been winning all these games in your run up to this, you weren't expected to be in the top 4. Suddenly, though, people are starting to predict you pipping United or pipping Newcastle. If suddenly you're 4 points, 5 points, whatever it is behind it again, and you've got to go away to Leicester that are fighting tooth and nail, let's see how Liverpool rise to that. Now, people have faith in Liverpool because you've been through so much adversity, so many title races, so many big games in the past 4, 5, 6 years. It's a very exciting weekend. But for me, a lot of people are saying United will lose or it'll be 0-0. Maybe it will be. It's about finishing our chances. You actually go back to all 3 away games recently where we've lost or drawn. Better team in the start of the game, missed the abundance of chances. And then I think being away has allowed shit to get into our heads. I think at Old Trafford, it will be a little bit different. Varane returning is really important. But I actually think Rashford being out isn't a bad thing for us either. And I
How
mean,
long is he out, Terry?
There's been no timescale put on it. I don't think it's long. But I still think he came back too soon. I don't think he was fully fit. And I believe he was rushed back. I'm not even going to go at the manager. The manager needed him. And he scored a couple of goals. He had to have been there. But Martial's shot. You've had Garnacho that's been out injured as well. And I think we've got Weghorst. And I think there's been a situation we need you, Rashford. And this is where I don't mind players playing with a minor little injury. But I think he came back 2 weeks too soon with a groin injury. And he's not quite got back into his rhythm. I actually think we may be a better team without him. Because when Rashford's injured and he plays, he takes away from us because he isn't the same player. He isn't as explosive. So I'm not that worried about him being out tomorrow. With the games that he missed when he was injured, other players stepped up and scored. And sometimes you need that. So look, it's in our own hands tomorrow, and we should be beating Wolves at home. If we don't,
we should be beating Wolves.
It's be a madness. AD here says, Terry, why is this Intervan always joining the top 6? He does not deserve to be here unless he supports the
No, because we like Mo. That's why, man. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna super chat, if you're gonna super chat to someone to not be here, before you go, Mo, I want to back you here. One, we like Mo, and if you're gonna super chat of someone we don't want here, put Hope's name in there, man. Come on, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? What are we doing, man? Let's call a spade, man. Like, what are we doing?
Nah, I've been waiting for the super chat for a while now. People ask me, why do you always talk about the Premier League clubs? It's just as simple as I'm gonna say that I watch every Premier League game, top or bottom. And I watch Premier League games more than Serie A for the last probably 20 years. And I support Inter since 98. But I watch Premier League way more. And people know that I watch all the games together.
I like Mo. I like Mo's take on football, but I like Mo because he has no dog in the fight. So if he says something negative about Man United, he's not doing it because he's a Liverpool fan or because he's a City fan.
Because I'm twerking to be on the top 6.
Yeah, that's why he's doing it. That's why he's doing it. Someone in the comments says, Terry, why do you never criticize Ten Hag? You don't watch enough of my shows then, bro. That's all I'm going to say to you, Andy. You don't watch the shows, brother. He's definitely been criticized before.
Can we talk about the Liverpool a little bit? I wanted to add something about the Liverpool. Just one thing. I'm looking at Liverpool. Apart from the Leeds game, which was away, the 6-1, against West Ham, Liverpool, this run that Liverpool had, I'm not taking anything away from it. But I feel like away from home, still Liverpool form isn't great. Yes, they won the last 2 games against Leeds and West Ham, which is they're terrible teams, to be honest. But I'm looking at the Leicester game, and I think, by the way, that first win that put more pressure on Leicester, they have to win a game, Leicester, and they play at home. And I'm looking at Liverpool and I'm looking at Leicester and think maybe this is the game that Leicester get a point or something. Maybe they fight for it now, because I'm sorry, Leicester have superstars, guys. We keep forgetting that this Tielemans, the Madisons, these guys want to be in the Premier League. They are great. Okay, let's not call them superstars, but they are good players.
Madison is a good player. Madison is a very good player.
He's a very good player. I like Madison. I like
him. I'm sold on Madison.
Yeah, he's good.
So I think these guys, maybe this is the game, the showcase for them. This is the game. Again, it's Liverpool now. We want to get a point. We want to get a result. I wouldn't back Leicester fully, but I wouldn't say that this is a full-on conclusion game for Liverpool, because people are talking that this is, I'm listening, everybody's saying this is a full-on conclusion. Liverpool won this game. Based on what? Based on their latest form away from home against West Ham and Leeds, or based on the marginal win against Fulham or against Brentford? I'm still not convinced that this Liverpool team is just full on, will win every game.
Oh, no. Liverpool has still got loads of flaws. We still get caught on the counter. Defensively, it's still a shambles. even though Trent's playing amazing in this new inverted role going forwards, defensively, that right-hand side's still an issue. So there's loads of, like, Liverpool's not the completed or the full package like we once were. But Liverpool, when they're confident, can score goals. Leicester are struggling to score goals. So what you're seeing right now is Trent right now, this new role is giving him a new lease of life. If you look at his stats, first for, and this is in the Premier League, first for interceptions, first for assists, second in chance creation, if I recall correctly. So you're seeing a confident version of him. Salah, as an example, breaking that record. When Salah's confident, you'll know, Mo. A confident Salah will go and win you a game. And when Liverpool are confident, they can score goals. Defensively, I still think we'll be in loads of, like, we're still going to look very, very, very vulnerable. I'm not even saying that Leicester don't score. I think Leicester score against us also. But I think when Liverpool are confident, when Jurgen Klopp seems to be happy, when things are all rosy, that's when you get the best Liverpool, especially right now and especially this season.
So you think this is another Spurs outscoring the opponent? You think this is another Spurs game?
I could easily see the game being a 3-1, but Liverpool catching that last goal late on, in my opinion. If I'm looking at
Liverpool are just more clinical than Leicester. Let's be honest. Leicester don't have any clinical edge. They're struggling to finish chances. And let's be honest, this Leicester team have conceded in every game for the last 20 games. They haven't kept a clean sheet in 20 games. So there's going to be goals in this game. And if you're going to put Liverpool against Leicester and say who's going to win in a slugfest, it's going to be Liverpool.
It's going to be very, very, very interesting indeed what happens this weekend. Viewers, make sure you hit the like and the share button for us. Mo is a national treasure, according to David here. That's a very nice thing to say. This is Mo is sound, top panel. Gotta love Chatty Patty too, is what Guna Paul.
That's from the Arsenal fan.
I know. It's pretty decent. It's pretty decent. Some more breaking news regarding the Man United takeover has just come out.
Wow,
let's get it.
It's crazy.
I'm on the edge of my seat over here. I'm on the edge of my seat over here.
But I am going to do it again. So, Sir Jim Ratcliffe bid remains in the front as the end nears. This is according to Michael Keegan. He says preferred bidder has not been picked yet, but reports tell us that Sheikh Jassim is weighing up a new 11th hour bid to surpass Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Now, again, people will dismiss this news because if they want Sir Jim, and they'll dismiss the Times news if they want if they want the Qataris. And that's the way people's minds work. They're not objective, and I will be objective. This story matches with what Al Jazeera News told us 2 weeks ago. And they stated that their bid's undisclosed, so nobody knows the amount. It's absolutely impossible for anybody to know. But they said that it was fluid and that should they need to add more to the bid to win, they will. This also echoes what Jamie Jackson said yesterday. And again, Jamie Jackson doesn't want the Qataris, but is quite neutral on the point. He works with The Guardian, where he said that in his experience, these billionaires from the Middle East don't lose. They don't lose these kind of bidding fights, but they want to appear like they're not scrambling or they're not panicking, like a swan when it swims or a duck when it swims. So interesting news that a new bid from the Sheikh is expected. Sir Jim remains the front runner. And do you know what it comes down to? Someone said it on my stream earlier on today. All of this is just the Glazers trying to get more money. And wouldn't it be amazing if suddenly they got a bigger bid from the Qataris that surpasses Sir Jim's, that earns them even more money, and they walk away laughing into the sunset at all of us. But that's the most recent breaking news surrounding that. I thought we'd give it to everybody. Someone here says, Al Jazeera, reliable source. Listen, Al Jazeera are as reliable as any other media outlet, in my opinion. I don't put one above the other person. There's a few I put above others, but like I definitely put The Guardian above The Sun as an example. But not on every subject matter, because they've got some weird articles recently. I can't repeat what they called a certain type of degenerate person. But we'll speak about that off camera afterwards. Haaland. I want to speak a little bit about Haaland. Someone here says, Terry, read the full article. It says the Glazers favour Ratcliffe. Yeah, they do, because he's bid, according to the article, his bid is higher. But if the Sheikh's weighing up an 11th hour bid and it's more, guess who the Glazers are going to favour? So it's
more money.
You don't need.
I know you don't. I know you don't want to dwell on it, but can you explain a little bit to the people, because I really was asked this question and I don't know the answer. How is their bid higher, but it keeps him in for some years? How is that?
So, I mean, no one knows exactly what they're considering to be the preferred bid, but there's been 2 offers made. There's one for a complete buyout. The reason that bid's higher isn't the monetary amount. The reports have said that Sir Jim is going to pay them all the money and then sort the debt out himself. Essentially, what he's saying he's going to do is take the debt away from Man United, put it against his business, and the business pays it, not the club. What the Sheikh's bid is the same amount of money, but 500, 600 million pound of it would be used to pay debt off. So the Glazers would be 500 to 600 million pound worse off. The other offer is a similar amount of money, slightly less money, but the Glazers would have a majority shake of 20% with no voting rights and no power and control, which in 3 years' time, there'll be an exercise to remove them of their remaining 20%. However, the Glazers' thought is, well, if Sir Jim comes in and runs the club well, gets them up further up the league, continues to grow, that 20% might be worth more money in 3 years' time, and they get even more money than that's being offered to them now. So that's essentially the long and the short of it. Someone here says, Terry, you're trying to convince himself the Glazers are doing this on purpose and the Qataris will still win. But that isn't what I've said. What I'm telling you is the Glazers are trying to get as much money as possible from this sales process. And to believe that anyone selling something tries to get the most amount of money possible is literally what business is about. But there we go. I wanted to ask about Haaland. He's won Football Writers Player of the Year. Anyone disagree with that?
Nah.
Nah.
Not even close. I don't think not even close, right? Like, it's not even can argue that De Bruyne or even Odegaard or Saka can even come close to Erling Haaland this year. The guy's probably the best player in the world at the moment.
I don't know about best player, but he's the best.
Not best player, like the player of the year. Like you don't have.
Yeah, because best player gets a bit techie, but he's the best striker without a doubt.
Yeah,
without a doubt. And the guy's charismatic. Completely. Remember the argument before that he made City worse. Now no one can say that anymore. You know, the goals are stacking up. Do you remember that shout?
Yeah, I do remember that. Everyone's real quiet about that. You know what I'm saying? Real quiet. He's made Manchester. What? No, Manchester City's other players were not performing. That's what it was. They're attacking players. You don't score.
I disagree with you, but I disagree. I completely disagree with you.
All right, so who was performing then?
It's not that. Pep Guardiola wanted time to get the right plan. That is why he changed completely the tactics, Flawless. He completely changed the tactics to suit Haaland.
Yeah, but my point is that still the other attacking players were not performing. Who was performing for them? But when they was going through what they was going through, out of their like midfield, and their other attackers and wingers, who was performing? Grealish.
But they weren't performing because the tactics didn't suit them. And until Pep Guardiola... Until Pep Guardiola sorted this out, everybody now is getting the right output.
Okay, that's cool, but you still, just because tactics ain't working, you still criticize players as well. You lot are very talented. You don't need to be holding your hands.
If anything,
wait, Mo, me and you could be managing that Manchester City side, and they should perform to a certain level because of the caliber.
I think that's a myth. I think that's a myth. That's
not a myth.
That's
so
really
you telling
Pep Guardiola.
He's incredible. I'm not disputing what you're saying. Yes, 110% the tactics have helped. My point is, even if your tactics are not working, the players are not blameless. De Bruyne, Foden, Grealish, Mahrez, all of these players, Rodri, were not performing.
You just made my point. When one or two players are not performing, I will point to the player. But when half the squad are not performing, I will point to the coach and the tactics.
I point to the attackers because the defensive.
All of them, but that's the thing. They are. I know that we want to talk about Haaland, and Terry is having this. He wants to talk
blame
about
Haaland's crazy.
It's not. Listen, it's not blaming Haaland. I'm blaming the tactics. So him being in the squad, they scored they scored the same amount of goals, but they conceded more. And until he fixed the tactics, they started performing probably better than the years before. But that only came in the last 2.5 months when he started changing John Stones and trying to implement new elements in the team. Now Kevin De Bruyne is literally playing right behind Haaland. And it's what he did. So Haaland making them bad doesn't take anything away from him. He still was their best player. He still was amazing, scoring goals left and right. But the whole tactics wasn't working for them.
Yeah, that's on the manager. But like I said, the overall...
Yes, thank you.
That is on the manager, but the overall point I was making is that he did not make them worse. People blaming Haaland for where City was at.
No, you don't blame Haaland, but you say that having Haaland all the team made the manager have to think more to make it work for the rest of them.
I don't see. I think we often especially as fans, we try to overcomplicate football tactics like it's neuroscience. It really isn't. The players were just not making the right passes to him early enough. I don't think they've changed their tactics. The players are just improved. Jack Grealish is a prime example. All year, I was bantering, calling him Luke Chadwick, because he was involved in games, a few good dribbles, but they were winning in spite of him. They weren't winning because of him. He has now stepped up a level and he's creating more. His runs are more penetrative. He's getting the ball in earlier to Haaland. And even the other night, and I don't think City were that good against Real Madrid, but there was a moment before they'd scored where I want to say it was Gundogan. He turned a midfielder and he was running with the ball, and Haaland made a brilliant run through the middle.
He didn't play it.
He didn't play it. He played it out wide. That is what they were doing earlier on in the season. So I don't think that's a tactic. I just believe that's a player not performing well enough, maybe not feeling confident of pulling off that pass. And then when they start, they improve massively.
But I tell you what, I think when it comes to City, I think their whole premise is they don't like playing that direct ball because there's more of a chance of losing the ball, whereas Pep wants to keep it. So Pep will go and I think he tells the players the same way he tells Jack Grealish not to come inside and to stay really high and wide, and the same thing with Mahrez, is because he wants to go and keep the ball. I think naturally as players, they'd want to go and come close to the ball and come short and collect it. He doesn't want that. So I personally thought that was a tactic until they went and said, you know what, you can start playing that risky ball much more. And you see City actually play that and lose the ball a lot of the time now. Like they'll just go and play a cross and they might go and lose the ball, but then they win it back. And I think that's just helped there kind of be a connection between Haaland and the team. Whereas if we look back at that, even against Real Madrid, it seemed as though because City wanted that control over Real Madrid, again, Haaland looked isolated. Haaland looked like he was separate from the rest of the team. Whereas in recent games in the Premier League, there seems to be this kind of symbiotic kind of connection between Haaland and the team. Whereas before, earlier in the season, it was like you had the team and Haaland was the added extra, and it's like it didn't really work. It was like a jigsaw piece that didn't really fit.
Let me add something to this as well, to what Jerry said. Pep Guardiola himself said many times that he wanted Haaland to get involved more in the game. What I think that Haaland lately has added another weapon to his game: passing, crossing. I think he has improved massively in the second half of the season in terms of first touch, dribbling, getting involved in the game, passing. And we've seen in the Arsenal game, he probably set up that first goal with a brilliant touch. We didn't see that in the beginning. And that's for people to say that you cannot teach football. Haaland has been physically brilliant, runner, finishing great, but now he's learning how to get involved, passing. Like the cross he did, I think, against Leipzig was absolutely brilliant. That assist he did. I think we are in to see a freak of nature, and I think we're in to see someone that we haven't seen before, that can finish, but also is getting involved in the build-up play. This guy is improving every week now, and it's astonishing.
He also won.
I was just going to say this.
Sorry, I just want to say he won the award by 82% of the vote, which is the biggest landslide in the history of the Premier League. So it was that much of a no-brainer, and he deserves it. A few City fans said, Terry, our tactics have changed. See, again, you could say they've changed. I just believe the players are now implementing what the manager was always asking them to do. So I don't think the tactics have changed. I believe the players are delivering better within their roles. I don't think there's been a seismic change in what I see. You're just passing the ball when you should be and not holding on to it. So maybe it was a combination of the two. This weekend, Igal, I wanted to ask you, big game for Arsenal against Brighton. You've got to keep winning to keep City honest. How do you see it going? Because, they're a tough team, but they got battered the other day. Do you think you'll have any problems with them at the Emirates?
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be much problems against Brighton, hopefully. We're at home, second last home game. But, yeah. Just to quickly finish off, chemistry is the word I was going to say, Terry. Chemistry. They've built their chemistry. That's what Man City's doing. And Arsenal, we needed to bounce back after all those drop points. We beat Chelsea. We beat Newcastle. We're kind of on a roll. We're going back home against a Brighton side who's quite good, but they just lost to Everton quite in a shocking manner. So I'm not too concerned. I think the boys step up, and we beat Brighton quite comfortably. I don't think it's a thing where it's going to be a situation where we slap them. 4 or 5-0. It's not like that. I'm just saying we're going to beat them maybe like 2-0 or 3-1. It's going to be a decent game.
You're not worried about not having Zinchenko in the squad, are you?
No. I'm not worried about nothing. They don't got Solly March. They don't got Webster. They've just come off a poor performance. We're at home. It's our second last home game. Our team is just right now focused on trying to get 90 points. I'm not really worried. I think it's going to be a situation where they put on a performance for the home crowd. And at home, we've been really good this season. We do concede at home, so it's going to be a goal or it's going to be a closer game. But yeah, I'm not worried at all.
Do you think
Zinchenko
the loss
or not?
I was thinking about the loss for Brighton, the last game. I think this is kind of a bad time to face him because I think that Zerbi, being the coach he is, he would want a rebound. He would want a reaction from his squad. And what's a better reaction than actually going to Arsenal away and trying to play your game? I would back Arsenal. I'll put my money on Arsenal, but I wouldn't be as sure as if Brighton won the game before, to be honest. Just because I think that Zerbi would want to have a reaction from his players.
What's your score prediction?
I would think Arsenal would win 2-1 this game. 2-1, just 2-1.
Yeah,
closed.
That's fair. I think we also have to look at all the players that they have out. Like they're gonna have Solly March out, who's one of their better players, right? I've already mentioned. I think Webster's gonna be out. Like just to say some of the players they're gonna have out. In addition to the fact that they just came off such a poor game, I'm looking at that team and I'm saying to myself, yeah, they need to bounce back and they need to have better performance. But maybe they're camping. They're going to be in Europe regardless, I don't think. But yeah, I think we win the game. And it's more just because after the performance we had against Newcastle, I don't see us dipping that much. Like Kieran Tierney or Zinchenko at this moment in time in the season, we just need to get results.
You say they're going to be in Europe regardless. They're not. If they don't win some games, they might not make it. Villa are right up their arses. And Brighton have got a tough fixture running. Arsenal, Newcastle, Southampton, you can forget that. City, Villa. So they've got some tough games. So they might not make Europe. But yeah, I think Arsenal will win it. But I don't think it's going to be as comfortable as you say, Gal. I think, like Mo saying, this will be the time that Brighton they have to have a reaction after getting smashed the way they did. And Brighton are good. Yeah, it's crazy. No one saw that coming. And Brighton are a good footballing team. They played a lot of people off the park. It might be a banana skin for Arsenal. They should win it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Brighton get something out of that game.
Hey, Brighton have four more games left after our game. Yeah. I think they're fine. They don't have to.
We didn't talk about Man City, to be honest, going away at Everton at all.
Yeah, they're going to probably drop points there.
So why nobody's talking about it? Listen, Man City, number one, they play Sunday, which is their game is in 3 days after. So he's definitely gonna risk some players. His main player is Rodri in the midfield. I don't think Calvin Phillips can replace him at all. He will have to make shift with someone. Gundogan played 90 minutes. Kevin De Bruyne played 90 minutes. Rodri played 90 minutes. So who's gonna step in that midfield to fill in that role? Because normally he would remove Rodri and put Gundogan next to somebody in the midfield, but now you don't have that privilege. You'll have to play the Calvin Phillips or something. So why nobody's talking about Everton now? They're playing at home, and I think Everton might be into something here. I'm not. This is just my feeling.
No, you know what? I agree with you. I do.
Is that hope or actually looking at
it? Think about it.
Be subjective.
Think about it. Think about what he said. It makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? Because the one time.
Jerry,
listen. The one time they played Calvin Phillips, they literally almost conceded. They conceded right away against Leeds, and they almost came back. So a change in the midfield could cause some problems.
Nobody here is giving Everton any hope.
Everton will get a result, a draw or a win, if they score in the opening 10 minutes, and in that process, City go down to 10 or 9 men.
Oh my God!
That's a lot of big ifs, Terry. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of big ifs.
Them ifs are bigger than Jordan's chest, bro. That's what I'm saying. They are massive. They are huge. They are absolute huge.
No, but Terry, it depends on what lineup plays.
No, but I think. Look, Mahrez comes in. Haaland still plays because he's still young and he's fit. He's a specimen. He plays. On the left, they'll play Foden. So already you're gonna have a problem. They can go and play Alvarez. Alvarez is still available as well. And you saw what they did against Fulham as well when Alvarez played and he scored the goal as well. In midfield, we're talking about Calvin Phillips. For Everton, that will be decent. And they'll just alternate. It will be like he plays 60 minutes or Rodri comes in, do you know what I mean, for the rest of that game. De Bruyne, yeah, you might rest him, maybe play Bernardo, but Bernardo played a lot of the game.
He didn't make a sub, Jerry. He didn't make a sub, and players looked knackered at the end of the game.
They've got more than enough to easily beat Everton. Let's be real. I know the Premier League is the Premier League. Anyone can beat anyone, but like Jerry's just said, he's named 5 or 6 changes, and there's still a quality outfit with those changes in. So, you know,
Rico Lewis comes in. I think. Do you know what I mean? At right back. I think they'll be all right. I think they'll be all right.
So you guys would think it's a shock if they get a result, Everton.
100%. It will be a shock.
In relegation, of course it would be a shock. Yeah, without doubt. Yes. Of course it would be a shock.
Most trying to get on the Gal's good side, man, after earlier. That's what you're trying to
do, man. Jerry, it was only a year ago where I seen Liverpool fans with all Wolves Wolves badges on all their Twitter accounts. So
that's what I'm saying. That's why you need to hope. I also, do you know what I mean? We had a lot of hope in Gerrard. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you better believe City can do something. Otherwise it's gone. That's what I'm trying to say.
You don't just get to the end of 5 stages
from the remaining games that Man City have. Guys, from the remaining games that Man City have, let's be honest. If this game in between the 2 Real Madrid fixtures should be the game where you see like a little bit of a drop in intensity, I think, at least. And this is the game that I'm Champions League.
We need that in the Champions League.
This is the game where I see hopefully where they drop points, because Chelsea aren't going to help us at all. Brighton, probably not. It's Brentford, really. It's Brentford and Everton are the 2 teams that it's actually Brentford, Everton, the 3 away fixtures. Those are the only opportunities where they could drop points. And if they don't drop points against Everton, you can pretty much kiss it goodbye. It's already done almost. But hey, that's what you
win against Everton, bro. It's done.
It's certainly going to be an interesting one. We have a super chat here that came in much earlier, by the way. It says, clubs aside, Arteta is more attractive than Ten Hag.
Like face attractive, like it's just attractive. I'm not getting this. I'm really not getting this.
Yeah, Arteta is definitely, I would say, is a better looking man than Erik ten Hag, I would say. But who's the more attractive to play for?
Arteta.
Depends on the play.
Based on the fact that he's been in the job longer and he's been able to build a healthy environment, and you can see where you're going into, and you've seen other players come into that environment and do well.
Depends on the type of play. I'd say it depends on the type of player you are. This is a case-by-case basis.
And some players, I think, if you look at Ten Hag, you're looking at like a cultured manager. Do you know what I mean? Been in the Champions League, 100%. Ajax, like that Dutch football. Like as Flawless said, it just depends what type of player. Maybe Rice prefers that type of football. You never know, man.
His Ajax team played total football as well. Like, let's not write off the Ajax team. Were very serious. He lost a lot of players, and they still played a good brand of football. So it honestly depends on the player. I don't
play like you mentioned.
I feel like all of you are like saying, all of you are like giving props to Ten Hag, and at the end it's like it depends on the player. But none of you. Like all of you saying really good things about Ten Hag, and none of you said anything about Arteta, and then said, "Yeah, but it depends on the player."
Yeah, but yes, it does. What I was gonna say is, if because Patrick just mentioned it there, if it's a Dutch player, he's probably more likely to favor Ten Hag. If it's a Spanish player, he's probably more likely to favor Arteta. Not necessarily, not 100%, but like there's many variables. This isn't.
What about Rice, Flawless? What about Rice?
That's a good question.
Rice and Arteta hug after every game. You know where it's going.
I expected
hugs Rice as well, man. There we go.
Henderson had Jude on his lap every single day.
Big pause on that one. Big pause on that one.
Yeah. Do you know what it is for me? Like, Arteta's done a brilliant job this year, there's no doubt. It's kind of weird. Like, Arteta has a better CV. He absolutely does. But then the team he's at right now is slightly behind where Arsenal are in terms of we're phase 1, they're phase 3. We'll use some Arsenal language on that. But listen, I think I would still put Ten Hag ahead of Arteta career-wise, because again, Premier Champions League manager, he's won league titles, he's won a trophy in his first year in England, he's he's even managed like under and learned from Pep in the same way. Arteta could surpass him. There's no doubt about it. But right now, what do we judge clubs on? What do we judge managers on? What they've achieved and what they've won. And Erik ten Hag is ahead of him right now. It's as simple as that.
No, but that has nothing to do with the question. Someone got rid of Ronaldo.
Terry. Someone got rid of Obama.
Of course, it has something to do with
attractive as a manager.
Of course, it does. Of course,
no, it doesn't.
I'll tell you why it does. If you let me finish, the reason why it has something to do with it is because when you're going to look to the manager you're going to play for, you are going to look at track record, their background, what they've won, how quickly they've progressed the team. So all of those things matter. Yes, of course, it's flawless is right in its absolute form. It'll be the certain player, what position, where am I going to play? There's all of that. But in terms of more attractive, I think Arteta is a very attractive manager to go and play for right now. But so is Erik ten Hag. And I think a lot of players will want to come and play for him. And we went for this one of the same players in the summer, and Lissandro chose him. So we have one example to draw from. We'll see with Declan Rice this summer. If Man United match your bid and match your contract offer, and he picks you, then we get an answer. But if Declan Rice picks us,
Terry, this is where I feel like you've kind of diverted away from the point. It's not about what you've accomplished. It's not about what you've accomplished in your career. It's not about what you've accomplished in your career prior to Manchester United. It's literally the two teams and the two projects and the managers coming into that club. Which one would you rather pick? You're not going to look at what he did at Ajax to base your
no. To an extent, because Martinez did that.
Martinez did that because he had nothing to go for based off that. He already worked with
because Martinez, guys,
let me respond, please. Sorry. Of course you're going to look at that.
But it's not about their career, Terry. It's about who would you pick based on their situations now.
And do you think Erik ten Hag's past his best?
No, it's not about that.
So it is about that. So if he's not, so Jose Mourinho's CV, some people might now look past it if you think he's past his best. Okay. Erik ten Hag, I still think, has got his best years ahead of him. So, of course, you look at what he's achieved and what he's won, his track record, how he treats people. These are the decisions that are made. Arteta is attractive, but he hasn't won a league title yet. Ten Hag has. So why would that not be a factor in someone's mind?
Because he hasn't won the league title with Man United. It's about the projects that you're looking at. One second. Explain to me what you're missing. I'm not talking about their CVs prior to their job. I'm just looking at the two clubs, the circumstances that they're in, and you say to yourself,
you're removing the CVs, and you think that has
because at the end of the day, I don't believe.
Hang on. You're doing that for one reason and one reason only, because one CV is better than the other. But Arteta had a better CV.
That CV doesn't have anything to do with it.
Why does somebody's track record of winning, track record of developing teams, track record of playing good quality football, why would that not be in someone's consideration when picking a club?
Because you could still acquire top talent even without those things.
But we're not saying Arteta can't get top talent. We're asking to pick between the two who's more attractive. Why would somebody's track record not feature in someone's mind?
Because the project means more than the actual track record of the manager. You could have a dead project.
So Arteta's project so far has got an FA Cup and a title charge. Ten Hag's projects in the past have won them league titles and got them deep into the Champions League. So you're looking at the track record of building projects.
No, because your project. One second, Terry. You don't do that. You don't do that. You can't take.
I'm muting you because I'm talking. Who is more attractive? Who is more attractive? Okay. Pep Guardiola or Klopp?
Because Man City is currently winning. It's Pep.
So when Klopp won the league, you think that made him more attractive to teams than Pep Guardiola and Man City, and Pep Guardiola's past?
Terry, stop diverting.
That is not diverting. It's literally the same question.
Bring it back.
Diverting. Bring it back to what?
Manchester United right now.
No.
Arsenal right now.
Answer the question.
Who is the more attractive project?
Stop. That isn't the question. The question wasn't who's the most attractive project.
It's based on the manager, what they're building right now at their clubs. It's not based on their history as a manager. Because guess what? If that's the case, then Jose's, Pep, and Klopp would always attract the best players.
No,
it doesn't matter where they are.
But you've ignored what I said. If Jose Mourinho is still performing at his optimum best, then that would make sense. But everyone thinks Jose's past his best, so his CV becomes less relevant. But when a manager's at his peak, like Pep Guardiola is right now, if Guardiola wants you, he's far more attractive to play for than 99.9% of other managers around the world because you know what he's delivered in the past. Now, I'm not saying that your manager isn't attractive. I'm not saying you don't have a good project and can't attract people. But the actual question was, which manager is more attractive? And you base it on what they're doing now, coupled with their past. Their past is their track record of delivery. Nobody ignores that. When you go for a job, they look at your CV. They don't go, well, it's a new company, so his track record means nothing. Of course, they look at your CV. And the more experienced you are, the more you've succeeded, the more sort of achievements you've had, the more likely you are to get the job versus somebody that hasn't achieved anything. Come on now, bro.
Okay, can I reiterate the question, Igala, and ask you a question? The question is that because you're looking at Arsenal and Man United, if Real Madrid tomorrow have to choose between Erik ten Hag and Arteta, who would they choose?
They would pick Arteta.
What I would say to it is like,
are you serious? You think that Real Madrid will choose Arteta tomorrow?
Pick Arteta.
Yeah. Again, yeah, it's a guy.
Because the way
you're not new here. Come on. Yeah, you're not. One thing I will say is this again, it's not one size fits all.
Listen, they had what do you call it, an inexperienced manager in Zidane, and they won multiple Champions Leagues.
Back to the point you was making, will a player look at the current project? Yes, but will a player also look at previous projects? Of course you will, because previous projects give you an idea of where the manager can go. So if a manager's been successful previously, of course a player's going to look at that if he has indeed been successful. You think Pep's resume didn't matter when he's going to Manchester City, when he's going to a Bayern Munich? Of course it does. So it's both. It's not one or the other. We're not
hiring a manager here. You guys are construing
No, we're not. Remember, the question actually said clubs aside. So Arsenal and Man United aside, what manager is more attractive? So the Arsenal bit don't mean anything. And again, this is what I mean by hyperbolic reaction. Somebody just said, Terry, I've got to find this. And honestly, it's thrown me. It's rattled me a little bit. Where's it gone? It says, that's rubbish, Terry. Arteta got the job without a CV and Pep got the job without a CV. Again, I didn't say that you can't get a job without a CV. The question was comparing two managers together. And when Pep Guardiola was first appointed, that summer he was first appointed before he went on to do a madness and he won very quickly. If you'd have said in that summer, who's more attractive, Jose or Pep, the world would have said Jose because you would look at his experience. Now, 3-4 years later, your mind's changed. Why? Because of what Pep Guardiola has achieved. So you can't do a hypothetical comparison once we know what Pep Guardiola has achieved in his career, because your mind's already tainted and biased. And on that question, listen, I've not said one negative thing about him. So I want to ask you another question about it, Agal, because I'm interested. Because at the start of the season, you said we'll see at the end of the year. Do you believe that Arteta is now a better manager than Erik ten Hag?
It's not about who's a better manager. It's about who. My question is, who do you think the better manager is and why?
This is Declan Rice and Needle Mover part 2, people.
Let me be honest. How do you gauge better? Based off what they've won and their accomplishments previously, right? That's what you're saying. So because Arteta doesn't have as much of experience as him, how can I sit here and say he's better? But based off what he's accomplished this season with the team that he's had, he's gotten better out of his players this season than Ten Hag has.
You could argue that, but the question, so to give me a straight answer, because I'm a little confused by what you said, and that's me, not you.
He has a better CV. I believe Mikel Arteta is a better manager.
I want a straight answer. So you think Mikel Arteta is a better manager?
I think Mikel Arteta is a better manager than Ten Hag, but I think Ten Hag has a better CV. Hence why I wouldn't be surprised if they went for him over Arteta.
What I would say to that is I'm going to wait a bit longer because this is Arteta's first good season, in my opinion. And I know that other seasons he was building. This season we've seen it, but the sample size is a lot smaller with Arteta than it is with Ten Hag.
Fair point.
So I'll need to wait and see if Arteta keeps delivering in terms of Arsenal keep getting better or staying at this level, then fair enough. But if Arsenal somehow slip back to 4th or 5th next season, then and Arteta and Ten Hag is 2nd or 3rd and he's won another trophy, then obviously that gives you your answer. So I think it's a bit too soon. Let's see how Arteta does as well in the Champions League. It'll be the first time he's in there. So I think it's a bit too early to judge. Yeah. But fair enough, Arteta. You've got to,
But the good signs are there, Patrick.
Yeah.
That's what people prefer to mention. Yeah. The good signs are there for Arteta. The style of play, the challenging Man City, and everything is there for Arteta. That he built something good with this young squad, had them play an attractive brand of football that a lot of people in Europe are looking at them. It doesn't 100%. Take anything away from him.
But now he's got.
I don't think there is a sign for Arteta to say that he's gonna fail. It's just my problem is that his ceiling or not. I wouldn't know. I need to wait. Second year.
We do need to wait 110%. But we're comparing the two now, and I hear the reasons as to why. But currently, Ten Hag is the better manager. Yes, Arteta has managed less, but the question has been asked. We know who the better. Could that change? Of course, it could change with more information. Because as you get more information, your opinion should change based on, well, not should change, but could change based on that information. But it's like having a boxer who's a world champion and one who's had 10 fights. The boxer
so flawless, you are weighing winning the Eredivisie more than challenging Man City for a title in the Premier League.
Yes, 100%.
That's what you're weighing.
No, not just that, but I didn't include. I don't give credit for challenging. Did you win it or did you not?
I'm not gonna lie to you.
I don't give credit for challenging. I'm not one of them. I don't do this. I'm old enough. I might look younger than I am. I'm a 90s baby. I've seen all of Manchester United's successful years, or like 95%. I don't deal with this runners-up thing. I'm not into that. People don't give me about challenging. Arsenal should have won the league. Has Arteta done an incredible job? Absolutely. He's done a phenomenal job. He's overachieved, but he should have won the league title. And they failed. Is that solely on him? No. Well, we have to discredit it. We have to criticize him for that because they should have won the league title. 110%.
At the end of the day, this whole opinion of who's a better manager comes down to how you guys gauge who's a better manager. Some people are going to look at silverware and say, well, he's won. Look, Pochettino won with PSG. Are we going to sit here and say he's better than Ten Hag?
Some people would though. I mean, a lot of Man United fans wanted him, and I think it's a fair. There's a lot of people that do think he's better.
Yeah.
If someone said, you have to judge trophies. Trophies have to be the barometer. Otherwise, like style of play and that type of thing, and who's the better manager. That's all subjective.
What did you win? That's what we do.
Yeah, I understand the whole trophies part, and I get that. That's the main thing that everyone's trying to achieve in their careers. I get that. But guess what? There's a lot of people who don't have trophies in their CV that become great managers at top clubs and start winning all those trophies. And you never know how much of that quality that player has or that manager has until they're given that opportunity.
But that's with football, though. There could be someone in Coventry that's balling out.
Well, okay.
Until he comes to a big club, we don't know who he is.
Listen, Pep Guardiola, we would have never known. We would have never known how good Pep Guardiola was if he wasn't given the opportunity at Barcelona.
That is true, but nobody, to your point, is 110% correct, but nobody was calling Pep or calling any manager before he won trophies great. There's no manager who's in the Hall of Fame at any top club beforehand.
I'm not saying he's in the Hall of Fame.
I'm just using that as an example.
Your point is right, but I could be the best singer in the world. If I'm not out there making music and selling it and winning Grammys and I'm not. It doesn't matter what I do in my bedroom. I'm not it. Like, you've got to go out and deliver to prove you're the best. Just to some of these super chats here, Arteta built the most attractive project in Europe. Do you know what I'd say, D, to that? Someone last week there was a comment about who's got the most attractive project. That is going to have the most biased answers in the world, because to me, Man United feels the most attractive. That's because I'm in love with my football club, and it's a bit like your children. Everybody thinks their children are good looking, but I've got a news flash for people. Some people have ugly kids, but they still love how they look because they're their children. Some people do have proper part as kids.
Can I say one thing to that as well? What about Napoli? That project's attractive, is it not? First year season in, they've won the league. They were third last year. Now they're third.
I agree. I think attractive is a very subjective point.
Yeah.
The best project is going to be we look back like, all year. I've seen Gooners and United fans argue online whose rebuild is better. Well, let's look back in 5 years. Whoever won the most trophies, rebuild was better. I don't care about attractiveness, style of football, the net spend. If Arsenal win more trophies in the next 4 or 5 years than Man United do, then their rebuild, their project was better than ours. And I think that's how it's got to be judged personally. Patrick is right. Spurs could have signed Kim for 10 million. He was linked to us during the Jose days. Levy out is what GB says. Reggie says, I think that you can just look at managers and also how they organize. Sorry, the organization supports the managers to help him achieve his goals. I think you're right there, Reggie. The hierarchy is important. Egal, Barca are financially unstable. Yet players, I didn't mean to do that. Yet players choose this club over others. Explain that part when you don't look at the track records then.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
That doesn't really have anything to do with the point that we're talking about.
No, it does.
It does.
It does.
Look at Rafinha. Rafinha could have went to Arsenal. He could have went to Barcelona. But he chose
It's
Barcelona.
his dream to go to. Listen, there's legacy clubs, and that's a legacy club. At the end of the day, people dream to play for them, and they're going to always pick Barcelona over certain clubs.
So who's the bigger legacy club, Man United or Arsenal?
That's Man United.
So then they're based on that same logic there. Ten Hag would be more attractive because he's at legacy club.
Terry, that's my exact point. It's not about the contracts. It's not about the players. It's not about everything else. It's about all the other feelings and everything else instead of just his CV as a manager. So you agree with me then if that's the point where the player would choose Manchester United?
No, I'm using your logic. I didn't say I agree with you. I'm playing back your logic.
That's my point. My point is it's not about the manager's CV. There's a lot of other factors.
Okay, but you're still picking Ten Hag then?
In that situation, if you're basing it on your
logic, it's Ten Hag then, right?
No, based on this, where it's like people are picking teams based off their legacy, and if you want to play for Manchester United growing up, like Rasmus Højlund, the striker at Atlanta, his dream is to play for Man United. So if he has to pick between Man United and Arsenal, he's going to pick Man United. You get what I'm saying?
I hear you.
I gotta go, Terry. Love for having me on. I appreciate it.
Mate. Thank you.
Take care, bro. See you later, man.
Honestly, you are both right. One doesn't exclude the other. But this isn't the thing I would say. I wasn't excluding what Igal was saying. I'm just stating that the CV will play a part. I know he's not here to defend himself, but it was Igal that was saying no one will care about the CV. I'm not disagreeing with his point, but the CV has to play a part. I hear you. Emery won a treble with PSG. Is he a better manager than Arteta? Genuine question. Yes, he is. He is.
100%. Look how many
Europa Leagues and that. Yeah,
I know, mental. And look what he's done with Aston Villa this season with no transfer window. The guy's a good manager, a top manager, to be fair. He's a top manager.
I'm sorry, I'm itching here. I know that you guys mentioned Poch. I'm itching because we need to look at winners and winnings and failings as well. Pochettino failed with PSG to win the league. That's why he was sacked. So I'm sorry. You cannot post.
Did he fail? I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, he did. With PSG, the second year, he got sacked. Yes?
Yeah, but everyone
and also the first year, by the way, I'm sorry, Patrick, the first year he joined in January and won the league with PSG, and the second year he failed to win the league. And when you don't win the league with that PSG, you're failing.
I think it was the other way around. He joined midway through and didn't catch Lille. And
that's right.
Won the league.
I thought he won 20. He joined in January 2021 and he won 21-22.
Other way around.
Yeah.
Other way around.
And in the Champions League, that wasn't on Poch. The defending was abysmal. There's nothing Poch could have done. They threw that game, and for whatever reason, in the Champions League, they just seem to struggle. And name a manager that does well at PSG.
I don't put it on the managers at PSG because we see managers leave and then go and Emery left PSG and went and was successful in Europe. Ancelotti, Tuchel as well.
Emery at Arsenal won't go down as being a better manager than Mikel Arteta, but it doesn't mean your overall career. Your overall career isn't wiped away just because of a bad stint. Igal, your bias is unbelievable. Erik ten Hag has a better CV than Arteta. Arteta is a good manager, but not better than Ten Hag. Who was that manager that beat Man City with Wigan? World-class manager. That was Roberto Martinez. Was it Martinez? I actually watched the final. Randomly, that's come up on the Super Chat. I actually watched that final the other day because I'm trying to get inspiration.
I'll tell you, you're freezing.
For us to beat them. The green is frozen again. Oh, what's going on there? Are we back? Are we back?
Yeah. I'll tell you.
They're all going mad.
Yeah.
Your camera's on.
Oh, we can hear you, but your camera's gone.
Yeah, he's turned.
I don't know what's going on. The world's gone mad. Hang on a minute. Let me try and sort this out. I don't know what's going on. Am I back? I don't know what's going on. There we go. I'm back. I don't know what happened there. That's the Matrix, people. The Matrix.
It's mad about Martinez, Terry, innit? Martinez was that Mikel Arteta type of manager, wasn't he? When he was at Everton, that first season, everyone was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Everton's playing mad football. Like, mad football was the same thing. They got into you.
I remember being, when I was a season ticket holder at Old Trafford, I remember about 2011. It was a season that we signed, 2010, 2011, when we signed Chicharito. We were going to games. We were all chatting on coaches going to we were away game. And everybody was talking about, I think, Roberto Martinez might be a guy to replace Fergie. That's what he was being tipped as back then because he was at Wigan and getting great football with a little budget. But there's loads of managers that are Martin O'Neill was a guy that 15 years ago was tipped to go on to be a great. It's just crazy. So many don't make it. It's unbelievable. The aim of elite level sports is to win. Absolutely. Besides Ajax and the Carabao Cup, what does Erik ten Hag have in terms of trophies? I respect him, but Arteta is better. Winning with Ajax isn't huge plus for the CV.
The Champions League run as well.
That is not the case to say Ajax isn't. Yes, it does matter. 110%. Why does winning like we've seen the manager after him get sacked? So why all of a sudden Ajax is like a prestigious club? Like, let's not do this. Don't they have 4 Champions Leagues in their history? I believe.
Yeah.
Let's not act like Ajax is Ajax is a proper, like, they might not be a major juggernaut in the modern era, but Ajax is still a massive football club. Like, let's not do that and act like winning there doesn't. Of course, it matters there. Because if Ten Hag had come to Manchester United and not won at Ajax, guess what the conversation would be? He was at the biggest club in Holland and couldn't get the league run. So yes, besides that, no, he has a Carabao Cup which he won, and he's won Dutch leagues over with Ajax. Yes, they might.
And what a lot of the people in the Netherlands have praised Ten Hag for, and this was ever before he was linked to Man United, was the fact that obviously it's different now to in the 90s and the early 2000s when the Dutch league had more money comparatively to the rest of Europe, and they were able to compete more regularly in the Champions League. But they lose their best players almost every summer, and he was still able to maintain their dominance, do pretty good runs in Europe, and that shows his ability as a manager. Now, he's moved on to a different level now. He's now managing one of the biggest clubs in the world with more pressure. Year one, so far, unless we throw it away in the next few games, year one, he could walk away with an unexpected top 4 finish and potentially 2 trophies. And if he beats City in the final, it's a major scalp. And if he does that, then there's no comparison between the 2 managers yet. One will have multiple trophies in multiple countries. But the problem you've got is people just go, you think Arteta's crap? I don't. I think Arteta's doing a phenomenal job with his experience and where he's going from, but you can't start discounting trophies for me. Terry, what is your reaction to the Glazers going for Sir Jim? Well, we read the news out. It's not what I wanted, but I'm going to wait until the final decision. There's loads more reports coming out now that the Qataris are going to bid. There's a lot of people suggesting that this has all been orchestrated by the Raine group to try and increase bids. So I'm keeping my powder dry until we know the outcome. Terry, you missed my post on the evening versus City. Oh, I think he means the Madrid versus City game. Sorry if I missed your super chat. I'm very, very sorry. They've now added a new function in to StreamYard today where you auto star super chat, which means you don't miss them anymore. I'm very happy about that. Emery is what people thought Bielsa was. Who has the better CV, Brendan Rodgers or Arteta?
Ooh, it's got to be Brendan Rodgers.
Brendan Rodgers has a better CV, but I would prefer Arteta to manage my club than Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, but Brendan Rodgers has been managing a lot longer as well, so it's a bit.
You know, people keep forgetting that this is Arteta's first job. Well. I don't know why. Yeah. Why people keep forgetting this fact? It's his first job, real job. This is his first full-time managing a club, and he's managing a club like Arsenal. It's a lot of pressure as well.
It's true. I'm saying with Brendan Rodgers, though, he done the same thing that Arsenal are going to do this season. He bottled the league. The CV is very similar. It's very similar, but he's gone and won somewhere else as well.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry, you're shooting. You're shooting today, Jerry.
This is the thing. I would look at both their CVs, but again, on Brendan Rodgers' CV is the bottle job with Liverpool, but then it's 2 seasons running being in a commanding position with Leicester for top 4 and bottling.
Yeah.
And it's been there's too many examples been thrown away. Now you could argue that Arteta has. That's on his CV this year. But he's 3 years into his managerial career, and the growth of Arsenal versus the pressure at Arsenal compared to Leicester, I would just prefer Arteta. Personally, if Man United had a new managerial role and they're both available, I would look elsewhere still, because I don't know. Again, Arteta for me, it could go on to be a great manager. I still think there's a lot of teething problems, but we'll see what happens.
That's great, Terry, because I think I want to add something to this. That's great. Terry exactly said it. I think there is more safety in Ten Hag than Arteta. I think if you join Ten Hag, there's more safety for you. I think he's a more experienced manager.
Yeah.
I think you're joining Arteta. You're kind of like, yes, good signs moving forward, but I think it's risky a little bit. I think Ten Hag is the more assured manager. If I was a player, I would think like that.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. Let's go through some more of these super chats here. Freddie says, Emery has the better CV, obviously, but I wouldn't swap him with Arteta even if I had a gun to my head. But give Ten Hag time too. But I get that. I'm assuming you're an Arsenal fan. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're a Man United fan. And again, I'm not suggesting you have to pick based on who has the best CV. I'm just saying it should be a factor. That was actually that was a difference between what me and Igal was saying. It shouldn't factor at all. But I don't, again, Unai Emery and what he did at Arsenal is on his CV. And that could be a factor. People might think the biggest clubs he crumbles. So therefore, for a Man United, he wouldn't be suitable. But it's all about his past and his track record. It absolutely is. Neto here says, why are we mentioning a Champions League semi-final when Arteta gets no plaudits for going against the best team of all time and losing in a 38-game race? I said it. I think the difference is that Arteta has been praised for that, though. So
yeah, I was just going to say we gave him credit.
Everybody has said he's done a phenomenal job to get there. Yeah. And I think that Ajax getting to that semi-final that season was a phenomenal job. It's part of what people factor in. What we're saying is, and I don't know how this has become a 15, 20-minute debate, is everything Igal said was right and why you factor in. But what Igal was doing, in my opinion, and I don't want to speak bad of him because he's not here, but he was discounting all the things that he knows are a tick to Ten Hag. That's what he was doing, in my opinion, rather than being objective about the situation. Is there any hope for Spurs to get a manager, and what's going to stop Qatar from purchasing Spurs or the Scousers? The only thing that will stop them is the bid not being enough, but nothing will stop them. And Spurs' new manager, I don't know who they're going to have. I reckon Mace might get it. Even Nagelsmann said no to Spurs, is what Debbie says here. The aim of elite sport is to win football. We've already had that one. Facts, Arteta got more from his players than Eric Ten Hag. But this is the thing, D. Are you saying that Man United have the better team then?
Okay, and on top of that, if he's getting more out of their players, how come so? But we've had a better season. So what does that say?
Yeah,
I mean, things are empty. These things are so much empty statements. All right, so Arteta got more out of his team than, you know what I'm saying, and Ten Hag.
I think we've got to wait.
We've had a better season already.
You guys might bag 2 trophies. You might finish in the top 4. If Arsenal only finish in the top 4 and you guys win a trophy and top 4, personally, I think you lot have had the better season when you actually look at it. Yeah. But, you know, I know the growth from Arsenal has been stupendous. But also, United weren't expected to finish in the top 4. So we got to wait till the season pans out and then we can look at it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
It depends on metrics because that's why I'm trophies over everything. You know what I'm saying? I win a trophy, and if I win a trophy and you don't, unless I'm getting relegated, I've had a better season.
Yeah, I hear you.
I agree. Neto
that's
here,
me, though.
Agree on Igal, no debate. Fair enough. This is from Tevin, who's a Gooner, who says, Igal, can you just answer the question in a straightforward answer? I know he's not here. I've got to read these out. Yeah, when I asked him, who do you think better is? That was the funniest one. I don't quite know what it was he said. Everton drew with City already. Everton will do a job on them. A small, uneven pitch with Onana back. Everton will win, trust me. Can you imagine? By the way, everything explodes if that happens. It becomes massive again, and the league is back alive. It's going to be...
How about City lose and still win every game?
Afterwards, yeah, maybe. Someone here, one of the member chats, they don't go up on the screen, but it says De Boer has 4 Eredivisie titles. Is he better than Ten Hag and Arteta? Some clubs have good management structures and failures. But again, we didn't say you solely look at the CV. We said this is where I think this is what happens when I know we live in a hyperbolic, polarized world now. But nobody said you only look at the CV and that's it. There are multiple factors that you look at. All we disagreed with Igal on is that you don't say no to the CV. Like the thing with De Boer is because he left and went somewhere else and was one of the quickest and worst performances by a manager in Premier League history. That's on his CV. And you're judging him again based on his overall CV. Let me pay to get on the next show. Now, you don't need to pay. You need to start coming on match reactions and kind of build yourself up through that, my friend. And we can do that. So come on. I don't know who you support, but come on the next match reaction to your club, bro.
He's an Arsenal fan. He kept asking to replace Igal.
Okay. Is that what he's doing? Okay.
Listen, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Remember to enter our raffle today. 2 tickets plus £250 to the FA Cup final in about 2 weeks' time. Just over 2 weeks' time that is now. So get yourselves entered. Unlimited tickets can be purchased on that. Scan the QR code on the screen. Until next time, I want to say thank you to everybody, all my super chatters, my members, and of course my panel. They're always wonderful to sit here and work with on a Friday evening. It's time though. I was going to get fish and chips. I've just been told it's Chinese. So I'll be careful because the Americans are watching. I'm having Chinese food, not having a Chinese. No, we're going to say it the English way, having a Chinese. Until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all.